Hey everyone! Hey! Hey everybody! It's Discourse! I'm here! Coming to you on a Sunday. Oh yeah. Everybody hear me okay? Everything going good in chat? See Freya's there. Looks like there's a couple of people in already. Hey everybody! I'm in space, as you can see. I have decided to be in space this time, rather than Goblin Green. Beats being in the Goblin Green background at all times. I mean, we're not in the 90s anymore, right? So, hey, Nimbletack. So where's everybody from? So where is everybody from? The audio is weird. Does the audio sound okay, guys? Or is it a little bit off? Let me know. It looks like it's fine on my side. Specs. Yes, exactly. I mean, today we're gonna be looking at the Primarchs. We're gonna be judging all of the Primarchs, even though I don't know a lot about them. So I decided that not knowing much about the Primarchs and sort of actively not learning anything about the Primarchs for like the last 17 years, that I would be best positioned to create a definitive list of who is the best and who is the worst Primarch. I figured that would be best. I'm basically the right person for the job, I think. Now with Horus Heresy coming out and stuff, this is going to be something people want to know. So I figured they may as well come to me for this. Australia. There's a lot of Australians. Wow. Sounds fine in Germany. Excellent. A Florida man, of course. Switzerland. UK, Northern Ireland. Yes. Hello. Malaysia, Kentucky. Wow, everybody's from all over. England, Sweden, Israel. This is awesome. Hey, everybody, welcome to the stream. So, yes. Last week I just sat and I answered questions and stuff like that, but I figured this week I may as well sort of try and structure it a little, I guess. I mean, I can't do any hobbying right now, not yet anyway, not until I get sort of a setup and stuff, so I figured this week I would instead just try and string together who are the best Primarchs, because I figure that's kind of relevant right now. I did a video on this yesterday about the price of the Primarchs, and I was looking at the models, and I was thinking, which ones are the best? So I think I'll do that too. So when we're judging the Primarchs today, we're not just judging them for who they are, their moral center, we're also judging the miniatures as well that we have for them, which ones are the coolest looking. And that I can't have an opinion on, 100%. I will not slavishly follow chat in that one. Scotland, West Midlands, woohoo! France. There are a lot of Australians, yeah. 1 a.m. here. Wow, I'm glad that I decided to do this when I did then. Yes, Minnesota, Maryland. Yes, awesome. That's awesome, guys. So before we start, I did have one question from last week that was asked of me in a super chat that I never got around to because I just completely missed it. So my apologies for that. But I was asked basically about the squats because last week the squats had been revealed and I had released a video saying that I wasn't that excited about them. And I had been asked the question, if the squats were just an entirely new army, if they didn't have the name or they weren't meant to be the squats, obviously they're being called Leagues of Votann, but if they were just going to be a completely new faction, completely new to the game, would that change my opinion of them at all? Would that make me more excited about them? And honestly, the answer is no. Personally, I don't have a lot of nostalgia for the squats. They were slightly before my time. Well, slightly. I mean, they were a little bit before my time. So I'm not exactly like super hyped for the squats because really to me they've always been just a little bit of a meme. So the fact that they are an old faction, if they were a new faction, it wouldn't change my opinion on them at all. So I just had to wanted to get that out of the way. Okay, so I do hope that we have some lore buffs, and even those who aren't interested in Horus Heresy or don't know much about it, well, I mean, consider yourselves in good company because, hello, I'm Discourse. I don't know much about Horus Heresy, and I've never had too much of an interest. I've never read any of the books. I've never read any of those. To me, Warhammer 40k has always been a setting for conflict. So having the Primarchs be very larger than life, I haven't followed their narratives at all. So today it's up to you guys to, get me excited about these things and tell me why, each Primarch is either the best or the worst. Okay. Let's see. Squats seem to be way more popular in Epic. Wow. Were the squats popular in Epic? Were they? I honestly, I mean, I just never really came across anybody who was that super interested in squats at all. Hands down the Alpharius mo. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go into, I've got like a tier maker, so we're going to pop into there, and bear with me, guys, because I am genuine. I'm using a single screen here. I'm using a single tiny laptop because I'm sort of between houses. So I'm using a little laptop and I'm trying to stream. I can't really see your chat outside of my phone. So we're gonna talk about this. So first of all, I decided to use the tier maker with the best looking portraits of the Primarchs. There were other ones that have the names underneath each portrait that would have been really useful for me because I don't know their names. But today I figured we'd just go for the better looking portraits because I am a slave to the aesthetic. I'm a slave to that. Okay, so first up today, we're gonna go with this guy. So this guy here. So chat, who is this guy? Tell me who he is and tell me what you reckon he is. Is he good? Is he bad? What do you think? Who is this guy? Who's the Primarch of? Who does he cover? Looks like he's a little bit, it's not the... Angron wishes Fulgrim loved him more than Ferrus. See, this is like people trying to tell me about their favorite sort of like CW show, like Supernatural. It's like you're talking about Sam and Dean here. I don't know what's going on. Ferrus. So Ferrus has the ghost face. Discord the lion. Okay, F11. Well, there we go. We've got the full screen. Spoilers. Right, so we have Alpharius here. Okay, so we're also going to be looking at the miniature as well. So I have the Forge World up. So this is Alpharius. Okay, so let's pull up Alpharius then. I'm going to judge him based on the miniature as well because that is something that I can totally 100% engage with. Alpharian. Okay, so we're gonna need to view all. By the way, incidentally, I hate the Forge World website. It seems like if you hang around it for like longer than a second, if you're just loitering a little bit, it just seems to break down like in a moment. Okay, so Alpharius. Let's view all. We'll find out where Alpharius is. You'd think that they'd do it in sort of some form of actual order. Okay, here we go. Right, so this is one of the more interesting models. Obviously, all of the Primarch models are all kind of almost akin to statues. They're big game pieces as far as I can tell, and they all have like lots of other miniatures around. So in this instance, it looks like we've got a guy getting stabbed. Does this depict something in the lore? Does this depict something? So guys, like what's Alpharius about? Like what's this guy? So what I'm getting, he's got a bit of a trident. I mean, if I didn't, this color scheme, if I didn't know better, I'd say he was like a Sea Lord. I know he's not. I know he's not a Sea Lord, but come on. Like, you can see where I'm coming from here, right? He reeks of fish. So maybe he is a bit of a Sea Lord. Have I nailed this? Have I just nailed it? Okay, so he's a great model and the coolest legion. Okay, so who's Alpharius? Who is Alpharius the head of? What legion is it? It's not the Night Lords, is it? I'm trying to go off the color scheme. So I only know them from the colors. And when people sort of have painted their models and I ask them, oh, what chapter is that? And they tell me whatever chapter it is. That's all I have in my head. He was the first. Okay, so he's literal backstabber. So I'm going to guess he's chaos. Okay, so, right. A backstabber and he's chaos. I do like the sound of that. I mean, that's basically chaos, right? Like, that's what you want from a chaos agent. Alpha Legion. Okay, I know about the Alpha Legion. So these are the guys that are just everywhere, right? They're constantly betraying everybody. They're Zinch, right? So I'm a fire. So everyone is Alpharius. Also, that's a lie. Okay, I can be swayed. The model itself isn't the most interesting, like, let's be honest, but it's quite intimidating. The fact that there is a Space Marine trying to walk away, these are meant to be, like, the spookiest super soldiers ever. This guy, like, almost looks afraid of Alpharius. And Alpharius has got the real villainous pose, standing above this half-dead Space Marine, prepared to deal the final blow right into their back. As you guys say, he's the literal backstabber. So I'm gonna give this, I don't know, S tier. I feel like if we start off and we throw up an S tier immediately, like we're sort of in a bit of a spot of bother. Okay, but you know what? I'm gonna go for it. Now, all of these are subject to change until the very end. So I might move them around a little bit, but okay, I'm gonna go for S tier. Okay, I can agree with that. I can go with S tier, sure. Right, this guy. So who's this? Who's this then? I should have used the one with the names underneath them. I really should have. Everyone's identifying as Alpharius in the chat. So I mean, so that's why everybody wanted him to be S tier, because it seems like there's a lot of Alphariuses out there. A lot of them. Horus Heresy, people say that Horus Heresy is balanced because it's Marine on Marine. So I say all the armies are the same. Well, Horus Heresy has struck me, correct me if I'm wrong, chat, but Horus Heresy has struck me as very much the historical of Warhammer. Very similar. So in Warhammer, obviously, there's a variety of factions. You've got loads and loads and loads of different factions, in theory. Obviously, it's a lot of Space Marines. But in theory, there's like lots of different factions, and they've all got super special bespoke abilities, and they're very varied. In Horus Heresy, it's more similar to the sort of English and French fighting one another in the early 1800s, right? Everybody's armed with similar weapons. They've all got similar sort of vehicles because it is indeed a civil war. And so it's more akin to a historical game. Is that not correct? Is that not correct? Skillboy. This is Angron. Okay, this is Angron. I know about Angron, so he's very angry. I love the fact that he's called Angron, and his defining trait is that he's angry. That is superb writing. Whoever came up with that should get a gold medal, right? So I'm getting a game. People are telling me to put him in S tier, but I can't do that. I can't get everybody S tier, guys. So come on, let's see. So he's slightly miffed, right? You're gonna have to convince me here. So let's find Angron. Let's find his miniature as well. Come on now, let's see. We're looking for the angriest looking guy. Oh yeah, there's the angriest guy. Here he is. Ooh, I'm gonna be honest, chat. I think he's gonna be let down a little bit by his miniature, to be perfectly frank. Angron isn't the most, I don't know, there's something off about, I don't know if it's the paint job. His face just looks so weird. It looks kind of off for some reason. I like his wee makeup though. I like his eyeliner and his that he's put on. I like the fact that he stopped to do his makeup before getting all angry and mean. A tier is for angry. Okay, Guadalupe, that's a really compelling argument. A for angry is a really tough one to beat. The paint job is so flat. I agree. I don't mind the fact that it's very like rusted and stuff, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of it. I get that they were going for a very dynamic feel to this miniature because you've got like the two Marines sort of being cast aside, but there's something about the pose of the Marine here on this side that kind of puts me off. Something about the way he's falling. It just looks very awkward to me. That's right. That's Rungar the runner. Yeah, that is exactly the vibe. That is exactly the vibe that I get from this. This is Angron, the angry guy. Mini is very angry. Yeah. He's yelling a lot, and I guess he's got his foot on another Marine. So is this from a scene? So this is one of the things I've always wanted to know about Horus Heresy. Are all these miniatures, are they reenacting scenes from the books? Is it like their iconic moments in the books that's going on here? Maybe all he needed was a Snickers. Yes. The Forge World paint job did the World Eaters dirty. Very dirty. Okay. If we're going to get the mini, gotta be S tier, just because of the Marine doing the Matrix move. Yeah, see, that throws me off a little bit. I'm not a big fan of that. I don't like that at all. It kind of looks really awkward. And I'll tell you what, if I was actually playing with this piece, if I had put him on the big diorama base and I was trying to play with this model, I would be forever worried about snapping that guy right off the base. I would be terrified of that. He's limboing under the axe. Yeah, exactly. Okay, right. I don't think I've heard any more compelling arguments outside of Angron is A tier. I love that logic. The problem is I think that the model itself is going to really let down Angron. And from what I can tell, his whole modus operandi seems to be that he's pretty angry. I'm not getting anything else from this guy. Papa Smurf. Anyone else thinks he's F's here? Papa Smurf isn't in this ranking, but I tell you what. Oh, you're talking about Guilliman, right? Oh, we're gonna get the Guilliman. Oh, don't worry. Okay. Yeah, he's killing loyalist world eaters. Okay, that's pretty cool. Because I like the world eaters. Okay, right. Tell you what, we're gonna put him in. I think he's gonna have to go into. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's between C and D. I think. Honestly, I don't like the model. I don't like the model at all. You can take them. Okay, Big Dave. I've never seen one of the because I've never played a game of Horus Heresy. I've never seen them in play before. Can you actually can you slot them out, or is it you have to choose to put them on a big scenic base and glue them on, or do you have to choose? Or I guess do people magnetize them? Is that the case? Oh, okay, so Angron's the guy who's got the nails in his head. Is Angron the really lovely bloke who then got some crazy surgery done on his head that made him angry all the time? And if he can't he can't handle it anymore, and that basically has driven him to madness. Is that the case? I think he's okay for the makeup, Cawdor. I like that. Yeah, for the makeup. I think the fact that he's done up his eyes. I think C tier is fair. I agree. I think C tier is fair. Let's do it. Let's do C tier. Let's be nice to Angron because he's kind of gone to the effort. Okay, right. We're moving on then. We're moving on. Loyalists get wrecked. Okay, right. So we've got this guy. I don't even know what this. This is like a mole man. What's going on here? Who the hell's this guy? Who's this guy? It's like a bird. That's right, Robin. Live discourse. You're helping teach me about the Horus heresy. All right, so didn't they make Angron funny and messed him up and made him angry? Preach the wrath of anger. Yes, Lizzie, I did this just to make you mad. Angry because of the conic pain. Yeah. The Corvus Corax. This is the black square. Yeah, he's very, very dark. Very dark. Okay, so we're looking for Corvus Corvax. Okay, let's go back. Let's find this guy. Oh no! Back to Forge World. Back to Forge World. The Beaky Boy. So I'm gonna guess Zinch, right? Like that's usually a good call when it's birds. When it's birds, it's usually Zinch. Okay, so we're looking for a guy with a bird face, right? Does that happen in the books at some stage, or what's going on? Because I've just been using some weird... Here he is, right. Oh no, this guy? Oh no, this model. Oh. So here's the thing, right? Whenever I first started playing Warhammer 40k, all the way back in the olden days, when everything was in black and white, and... I actually really liked the Raven Guard. I really liked their color scheme. I thought that the color scheme was really cool. I mean, admittedly, it's kind of boring. It's just black, but that's pretty badass, you know? So he's the Raven Guard Primarch. Okay, he's the emo Primarch. Now, that was really big when I was getting into Warhammer. Okay, so he's got the wings. But to be honest, they're not the most exciting wings, and I think in the context of the fact that Sanguinius exists, these wings are kind of a bit not exciting. Goth mode engaged. Emo Kid, S tier for Scene Kid. Oh, yes. Bad model, stinky, greasy hair, bad. I kind of agree. And what's going on here? What's going on with this guy? So I think he's getting shot and he's sort of dropping his gun. I don't know. It's not that... There's not a lot going on with this model. And it feels like that connector will be really awkward. That price. Yeah, right? These models are very overcosted. Very overcosted. Edgy and fights Roboute Guilliman. Okay. Wait, so Corvus Corax fights Roboute Guilliman? I'm surprised by that. D tier for dark. Okay, right. It turns out that I'm really into alliteration. So if you can line it up, if you can line up a representative word and get it for a letter of a tier, I'm gonna fall for it. D tier for dark is very compelling to me. Everything was black and white in the olden days. I remember when it was all silent as well. If we had to talk, we had to write on a blackboard. Yes. The pause is really weird. Is that a son of Horus? E tier for emo. Okay. Yeah, it's going E tier, I think. It's gotta go E tier. I am not a fan, which is kind of a sad... Well, no, okay, there is no E tier, so we're gonna go F. Sorry, Corvus Corvax is getting F. He's going F. It's sad because the Raven Guard are kind of cool, but there it is. It's done. It's done. F for feathers. F for feathers, exactly. Or lack thereof, because he doesn't even have any feathers on his actual wings. So he's kind of like a poor man's Sanguinius, isn't he? I guess he's got some claws. That's kind of cool. I recall a trading fight with G-Man. Maybe you should have had some help up there with your discourse. Yeah, maybe. The model's quite meh, but I love the lore. The Raven Guard is almost the same shit thrown as them as the Lamenters, almost. So the Raven Guard are they get a lot of trouble. They're into a lot of trouble all the time. They get picked on a bit. F in the chat. Don't like his pose. Yep, sad. Yeah, the Raven Guard. That's it. Sorry, I think I was calling them the Death Guard earlier. No, the Raven Guard. The Raven Guard are the ones that were pretty cool. Just because they're all black, you know, and that's pretty badass. 2004, that was all in at the time. That was all in. Discourse miniatures. I find that almost all the bare-headed Primarchs just seem to have the same facial shape and structure and looks weird to me. Yeah, I sort of agree with you. I love Corvus Corax, but the mini isn't too great. Yeah, it's the mini that's really letting them all down. Because to be honest, you know, outside of just Angron angry, it's hard to kind of get like a figure on them. So I think that from just the chat. So I think that the minis are going to be really, really crucial. They're going to need a good one here. Okay, so this guy here. Who's this guy? This guy looks... He's the source of inebriants for all emo parties. They are the birds. They do the picking. Yes, thank you, Dave the Rave. I love your new hair. Thank you very much. Yes, it's very nice. Right, who's this guy, chat? Is this the... It's not a wolf. It's not a wolf man, is it? Could it be a wolf man? They are the Big E. 3 dark eye, Patriot Alliance of Wolves. Oh my. Space Marine heads all look like really angry and terrible dads. Okay, yeah, I can vibe with that. I totally agree. I should have went for the one with the names on it. This is Corvus. This is the same guy. This is Corvus Corax. What? Who made this tier list? Because I didn't make this. I just jumped on and typed in Primarchs, and I picked the most interesting looking one. Oh no, not chat doesn't know who it is. Okay, right, so we're just gonna say that that's Corax again. Is this like the Chaos version of them or something? I thought the Raven Guard were loyalists. Let's see, Corax again. Okay, well, who's this guy? This is weird. It looks like I'm actually having a really hard time sort of seeing who this is. Okay, all right, this is a little bit easier. Is this better, guys? Is this better? I don't know why Corvus is first, but he's going into F twice. So he's gonna have to live there now. They're big M some, so some facial sameness makes sense. Well, I mean, they're all sort of genetic monsters, right? They've all been created to emulate that of the Emperor. So it makes sense that they all look a little bit. It's kind of weird to me because for the longest time, I never really was able to put face to names, right? Whenever I heard about the Primarchs, they were always this sort of mystical, sort of distant creature. Whenever I was playing the Horus Heresy, I think it had a couple of books, but not a lot. And not everyone read them. At the time, like in 2004, 2005, at least among my own friend group, people weren't really reading the books that much, and it wasn't really well known what happened in the books. So it was all very sort of strange. And that seems to have obviously changed a lot now. This is Magnus. Okay, so the first thing I'm getting told about Magnus is that he did nothing wrong. Magnus did nothing wrong. Well, I'll be the judge of that with your assistance. Oh no, it's this model. So this model's $152, and it's kind of weird. So let's have a look at this model. Let's have a look at him. Let's have a look at Magnus, the Primarch of the Thousand Sons Legion. So firstly, I like the Thousand Sons. I do like them, and I feel like it's kind of unfair on a lot of other sort of chapters, right? Because there's chapters out there like the Death Guard and Thousand Sons who have like their own books, and they've got their own sort of Space Marine vibes, and they've got like the big hats and stuff, and they all look very unique. So they end up getting a lot more personality compared to some of the other ones. Okay, so let's see. Magnus did several things, both good and bad. Nuance. We don't need that here. This is the Horus Heresy. Who's the baddie and who's the goodie? Magnus did nothing wrong, but he didn't do much cool either. Ooh, okay, that's pretty devastating. Sound like a seed here so far. Corvus is loyal, but from my own knowledge, he's sort of become a loyalist demon, almost like the Legion of the Damned without the whole gimmick. Okay, Magnus, P for Patsy. All right, so let's see here. Okay, Magnus has a cool model. It looks okay, but there's not really a lot going on. Sort of this, I'm guessing this is some sort of sorcery, some sort of chaos sorcery. And the thing is, right, see if I were to paint this model, he would look a lot worse. And not just because I'm a bad painter, but because, like, I couldn't do this purple hand thing. So if I had painted him, he'd just be standing on a rock with his hand going like that. And there would be, like, some weird pink stuff flying from some rocks. It wouldn't look good at all. It would not look good at all. Magnus Buckethead. Also, yeah, I gotta admit, I'm not a fan of those face pieces. I think you see them on high elves all the time in fantasy, where it just kind of comes along the sides of the face. I'm not a huge fan of that. He has a demon Primarch model for 40k. Ooh, okay. So he's one of the demons then, so he's still around. Dust guys are cool and do spells. Dust guys are cool and do spells. I quite like the Thousand Suns. I like the fact that they have a real vibe to them. They're very different. I am a big fan of that. I do like that. He seems to kill his enemy by firing candy floss at them. Well, that makes him a little bit more exciting, in my opinion. That makes him a little bit more exciting. Magnus is a gaslight gatekeep girl boss and should be S tier. Girl boss vibes. Demon tier, Demon Prince at Magnus has a cool model. Okay, so what I'm gonna say is, while I like the Thousand Suns, unfortunately, this model isn't really doing it for me. I do like the base. See, I prefer the more restrained bases. I really do. But, I don't know. I'm going back and forth on this one. I think his armor looks kind of cool. He's a little bit different from everybody else. But I don't know. He's nothing special. There's nothing special about him, in my opinion. So I think what he's going to get like a solid C tier. In all honesty, he looks a bit cooler in that picture. I'm guessing that's him as a demon. All right. Okay, who's this bad boy? Who's this guy? He's just got a big angry face. It would have been B for bubblegum. The tier list you're taking into account the different forms the Primarchs take. Okay, so that's what's happening. So we're getting demons in here too. I don't need that. I don't want that. The armor looks terrific though. Also, I'd fall to chaos for armor candy floss. Okay, so is this a demon form? I mean, I'm gonna be honest. This looks like it should be a demon form. Side quest, check his demon form. Okay, let's go to Games Workshop. Let's go there then. Demon Angron. Okay, this is Demon Angron. Is there any point in Angron being a demon though? Like, I kind of feel like they maybe should just made him an angry guy. I don't mind the Demon Primarchs, but I guess it's just gonna have to go in the same tier, right? We're not rating the demons here. We're not rating the demons. Okay. And this looks like a demon. Is this a demon? What's going on here? Angriest Angron. Demon Angron. Butcher's Nails. Angry Ron. What an incredible name. What if they started with Ron and someone was like, but it doesn't sound like a very angry name. And they're like, how about Angron? Angron, is that good? Even more angrier. New demon form. Okay. Fulgrim demon form. So we're just going to ignore this. All the demon forms, they're all just going to go into F from now on. All the demon forms are just going straight to F because we're not rating them. Okay. Oh god, look at this art. I don't know if can you guys see this? This art is incredible. Look at that hair. Oh wow. Okay, so right, I'm going to be honest, just off this picture, I'm thinking S tier. I'm thinking S tier for this. Look at that hair. Wow, that is incredible. That's hot. That's hot hair. Oh, yeah. This is Fulgrim the Phoenician. Fulgrim. Okay, let's see. All F. Vampiron. Okay. Okay, how many vampire analogies can there be in the Horus Heresy? Like, I'm aware of at least 6. So, okay. We're looking for Fulgrim. Fulgrim. Where is Fulgrim? We're looking for him now. Ooh, okay. There is a reason why that guy is in the thumbnail. I think he's a very funny model. Give this man a raise. Okay, sexy Ron. No. F demons. Wait till the world eaters get their new codex. Okay. Angron all the tactical time. Vampiron. Right, so wait, this is Konrad Curze? Konrad Curze? Okay. Okay, so we'll get the Fulgrim later. So this one is Konrad Curze, you're telling me. We're seeing, okay, Curze. Right. Okay, let's see. Let's see what's going on. So that's Fulgrim. Let's see, Konrad Curze. We're gonna pull him up now. Okay, right. Yes, he's got the mod hair. Very good. He's like in a glam rock band. It's kind of incredible. Okay. Right now he's in S tier. Right now he's in S tier, but let's see how his model looks. Oh no. What's going on with that face, dudes? Oh my god. What is going on? Right. Okay, so I'm guessing that this guy's a loyalist? No? Evil Batman. Evil Batman. Glam metal. Yes. I'm gonna be honest. I think that this model is a bit... I mean, it gets across the chaos element, certainly. It seems like he's one of the first guys to start skinning people and sticking them on his shoulder. Proxy Batman. Incredible. Who would win? Who would win? Konrad Curze of the Night Lords versus Batman. His hair does look really greasy. See, in this picture, it looks beautiful. It's like he's fresh out of the shower. He's just straightened it, and he's got his like mascara on, and he's ready. He's ready for the party. But in this one, it's like 3 a.m. You know, he's at the club. The floor's all sticky. There's been like all sorts of nastiness going on all night. He just wants to get home. He needs to pop a couple of Valium and get a cup of tea into him. That's what he needs right now. That's Konrad. That's Konrad. Edgelord 40k to the extreme. So I do sort of dig the kind of, it's dawn, the sun is coming up, and the club is kicking everybody out sort of vibe to him. You know? I do sort of like that. He looks like he's a member of the Kiss Army. You could probably paint his face like that. Batman and Wolverine's love child. Oh, God. It would have to be from the 90s. Oh, yes, of course, eyeliner, actually. Yeah, well, I mean, it can be both. It can be both. I've just turned out to hear about Proxy Batman with greasy hair. It's not mascara, it's sleep deprivation. It can be both as well. That can be both. He's got to get those long, luscious lashes. He's got to show them off. Gotta. All right, so I'll be honest. The only thing that's saving this guy is the fact that he reminds me kind of Super Hans, and that in this picture he looks very sexy. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give him a B. We're gonna take mercy on Konrad. We're gonna give him a B, even though this model is a little bit. It's just not exciting to me at all. I personally, I mean, he's definitely got the vampire vibe going on. People are not wrong. It's just that, like, there's 3 other guys who claim to have the vampire thing going on, you know? Like, Sanguinius, kind of, like, the entire Blood Angels thing is vampires. He can also have the vampire thing. Not everybody can have the vampire thing. Dawn never came on his planet. They have no sun. The Night Lords. The Night Lords. Isn't that kind of like, though, like, if it was on Earth, you know, isn't that kind of like calling yourself the Landlords or something? Like, just something that's always around? Like, to them, the night would just be normal, right? Would they even have a name for the night? Wouldn't they just call it the normal times? What's going on, you know? Like, I'm just saying that if they were on a planet where it was night at all time, why have a name for it? Why have a name for it? Okay, so that's us. We got him into B. We got him into B, which I think is fair. I agree. I think the vampire vibe is overplayed. I think they did it a lot. There was a lot of vampire stuff going on. The Winter Soldier. Okay. Let's see. Right, so we've got another demon form here, so I'm just going to throw it into F. Is this a demon form? I mean, this looks like something from Doom. We've got the big metal face here, the Goth Lords. The Goth Lords. The normal Lords doesn't have the same ring to it. Yeah. The normal Lords. Oh, and Tarmel with a big donation. Thanks for the good work and thoughtful criticism. Hard to find today. Raven Guard forever. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tarmel. That's absolutely lovely. Thank you. That's brilliant. Thank you so much. That's awesome. He's a maniac killer, says Look. Yeah, I mean, Maniac Killer, it's a vibe, definitely. I think it suits Chaos, but I don't know if Chaos actually suits the vampire thing, going back to, like, I think this might just be going back to fantasy, where I always imagine vampires and undead against Chaos, you know? Lorgar, Demon Perturbo. Okay, right, I kind of like the look of that picture, though. Is he like a metal dude? That's pretty banging. That's pretty banging. All right, okay. Right, so who's this guy? This guy looks like a loyalist. But I'm probably wrong, right? Because Demon Perturbo. Oh, okay, right. We got Jaghatai Khan. Okay. All right. So, I get you. Jaghatai Khan. That's the newest model, isn't it? From this series. Okay. Let's have a look. So aside from bikes, okay, so aside from bicycles, what is Jaghatai Khan about? What's his thing? Wait, Ferrus Manus, you guys keep tricking me. Mr. Machine, okay. Right, hold up, okay. Right. Ferrus Manus. Okay, this is Ferrus Manus here? This is Ferrus Manus? It's very hard for me to tell. Okay, Ferrus Manus. He shoved his hands into molten metal to get metal hands. Wow, okay, let's find okay. Ferrus Manus. Here he is. This is the Iron Hands. Okay, that's pretty cool. I think that's pretty metal. Okay, that's pretty awesome, not gonna lie. I mean, it's not something that I would advise, but it's pretty badass. Let's have a look at the miniature here. So what's it doing? Okay, he's got a little bit of a dynamic pose. What's going on with his back though? What's going on with that? What's going on here? Do you guys see this? It's like he's like a tech priest. Is that what's going on? The Forge Father. Vulkan. Giant scrap dealer. Okay. I like his hammer. His hammer is very underwhelming, but I kind of like that. I'm so used to like having these huge weapons. Like obviously in real life that would be a huge hammer, but for like 40k standards, it's kind of piddly. He's a master smith. Ooh, okay. I don't mind it. My problem with this model is what's he doing? Like, if you think about it, like he's just standing on a rock, just swinging. Like he's playing an MMO or something and he's just out of bounds. He just can't quite hit the enemy. What's going on here? Let's see. Manus means hands, not man. If only he had an iron neck. Ooh. Do all these models have to climb and stand on some ruined cornice, climb some other part of the building? What is happening behind the curtain? Some kind of demolition of the building? I kind of want to see a diorama now of all of the Primarchs gathered together around a bit of ruins. And it looks like they're construction work. They're all just a bunch of brickies. Just kind of demolishing this random building somewhere in the middle of nowhere. That actually would be brilliant. That would be hilarious. So good. He's swinging at the Fulgrim model. Don't lose your head over him. I'm guessing that he might have lost his head. Ferrus equal Iron Manos equal hands. Another cheesy name for a Primarch. They've got to have cheesy names, though. Come on, they've got to have cheesy names. Like, if they don't have cheesy names, then what's the point? Like, as far as I'm aware, half their personality is just bound up in the cheesy name, right? The model is designed to be linked to the Fulgrim diorama. Okay, I'm gonna let's look at him in context. So let's throw up the Fulgrim model as well. Where is Fulgrim? Come on, Fulgrim, where are you? Let's pull him up. Oh, I don't think this is the saving grace that that it should be. Even in context. I think that, so like, even if I imagine kind of smushing these two guys together, like, surely he's still swinging pretty wide. Surely the swing is still stop showing off Alpharius. I thought Fulgrim was using the hammer for their big fight and Ferrus was using the sword. Let's see. I do love the fact that he did, in fact, have a very homoerotic history with Fulgrim. Well, I do like my Horus heresy to come with a healthy dose of homoeroticism. Super deterministic, kind of understandable, half-turned traitor. Okay, I'll tell you what. This guy, it looks kind of dopey by itself, to be honest, but I kind of dig. I like his backpack. I like the fact that he's got like a hammer and he's kind of swinging it. It kind of reminds me of playing one of those MMOs where you just left click and your sword swings. So I'm gonna put him into B. He's not really offensive, but he's not really exciting either, I think. Then again, the whole burning off your hands thing's kind of metal. That's kind of dead. I'm gonna give it, I think still all the same B. I think B is where he's gonna go. Okay. Uh-oh. There he is. I think I know who this guy is. Right? This is Horus, right? This has got to be Horus. So let's see. B tier for boring and beheaded. Yeah, I think having your hands be metal is kind of a personality trait. I mean, it worked for Luke Skywalker, you know? I think it's kind of a personality trait. Ferrus is playing baseball. Honestly, if someone were to like model like green stuff on like a baseball, that would look incredible. I think that would be amazing. B for boring. All of them are 10 to 14 feet tall and can move at speeds imperceptible to the human eye. Unfortunately, it doesn't translate well to static poses. This has always been the sort of problem with Space Marines, right? The fact that they are meant to be these really quick, fast monsters, and it's never really come across very well. I think because they look kind of clunky. Their armor has never looked elegant. It's not an elegant armor. Right, so yes, this is Horus. So funny story about Horus. For the longest time, I know that there's all sorts of iconic artwork of Horus facing the Emperor of Mankind, but for the longest time, I did not know what Horus looked like. I had not really looked it up. I know that in the rulebook it always came with, but I sort of glanced over it. And then the day that I sort of actually was like, wait, what does Horus look like again? One day, and I looked him up, and I was so disappointed, because it was just some guy. In your mind, you're like building him up to be like this incredible, like this is the man who tore the Imperium in twain. And then you look him up and it's like some bald fella. You're just like, oh, right, okay. Just some guy. Yeah, okay, so here he is. This is him. This is Horus. This is Big Daddy Horus. So obviously there's going to be, I'm going to imagine there's quite a lot of, let's see, I feelings about this guy, right? I quite like the staircase. I'm a fan of the staircase. I quite like that. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Always felt a little bad for people who lacked brotherhood growing up. Up to them close, male bond becomes homoerotic. Nibbletack says, that's what I want to say, Tim. Red light equal red flag, man. Horus B tier for bald. Bald butthead. You can't keep getting me that way, guys. You're not allowed to just keep on throwing puns at me and then, or alliteration, and then get me to like trick me into putting them into the tier that you want. So let's 360 this one. Let's have a little look at him from all angles. Drag to spin. Right. So the paint job on him's quite nice. I tell you what, one of the things I've always liked about Horus was the fact that he had a pelt sort of over his shoulder. But the Terminator armor has always been a little bit weird. Like the stairs, better than the rock. I totally agree. I think the stairs are actually pretty cool. I quite like them. I think they're much better than the rock. The rock looks very nondescript. Like it could be sort of anywhere. And I imagine that they're meant to be in a location that is described in the books. But it doesn't really translate well to the models, I don't think. That's Lex Luthor. Yeah. This is like the worst version of Lex Luthor. You know when he puts on the robot suit and he's like, I'm going to beat you in a fist fight, Superman. Like that, at that stage, Lex Luthor has lost. At that stage, Superman has won. The moment that Lex Luthor has to actually fist fight Superman, Lex Luthor has lost. Lex Luthor can only win here, in the mind, in intellect. I want to watch this, but I don't know anything about Primarchs or care about them. Well, me too, Crumbum. Me too. I don't know anything about the Primarchs either. I'm basing them on what chat tells me and the models. That's how I'm ranking them. And it's going to be definitive. So once I've done this, no one can say anything else about them. This is it. It's done. We have decided. So where they fall in this ranking is really important. $2 says, at first glance, he looked like Bruce Willis. He does a bit, doesn't he? He's got a little bit of that vibe. Discourse panics in Pandemonium Pandemic. Oh no. I was thinking about doing that, like making every single video title just be a pun. And just see if it works with the algorithm. I don't think it would. I think it would ruin the channel. But I think it would be lovely. It'd be like the sun of YouTube. Says, I say S tier for the stairs alone. Really? I don't know if it gets S tier for the stairs. I mean, I get that like S is the first letter of stairs. But outside of that, I don't see it. Needs more eyes. Needs more eyes. Yeah, I mean, there's only what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Could use more eyes. 7 up there. Yeah, the staircase, yeah, if you take the fact that these guys are like, what, like 10 to 14 feet? Like, hold on a minute here. No one who's prejudiced against the vocally impaired should be able to write a tier list, says Charles. Hey, I love Lex Luthor. Do you think Games Workshop will release another Primarch in plastic? Honestly, I think that they should. I think that they should release Primarchs in plastic at a much cheaper price. I know that they probably won't, but I think that they should release them as part of like a starter set. I know that the starter set has been leaked and stuff like that, but I really do feel like a starter set. I really do feel that a starter set should come with a Primarch in plastic with a bunch of soldiers from their legion. I think that's kind of what you want. I mean, imagine a Horus Heresy box set. The Emperor of Mankind on one side, Horus on the other, Olanius Pius in the middle. No, but seriously though, I think pick a battle, make an iconic battle, and do a starter set for that. Do you have a place to send pics, a Discord or a Facebook page? I do, Robin. Yes, there is a Discord page. There is a Discord. It should be in the description of this video. You should be able to get a link to it. By the way, Leman Russ wants his wolf fur back. Okay, right. So with Horus, it's kind of sad. There's nothing really exceptional about the model. It's kind of a bit of a power pose. He looks kind of cool. I've always been a fan of the Horus armor and of the big power claw. I've always been a big fan of that. I feel like they've missed a trick though. I feel like they could have had him in the pose that is in that iconic artwork of when he stands before the Emperor having just struck down Sanguinius. I feel like they missed a trick not doing that. So for that reason, he's getting, I think we're going to put him into B tier. I think honestly that Horus, but then he's a little bit more exciting than Ferrus. I don't know. But what does chat think? What do you guys think? A or B? What do you guys think? Fan of his concepts. Juicy says, I love how Horus was so charismatic that he only convinced the idiot Primarchs to join him besides Fulgrim, but considering he pulled out Weird Talking Sword, he's an idiot too. So, okay, that's big words. So you're saying that all the chaos guys, so everyone who joined, who became a traitor, were idiots. Oh my. That's gotta be fighting words, right? Games Workshop should charge for miniatures by weight. Like sweet shops. Yeah, like a pick and mix. You go through and you pick up as many of the miniatures as you want. You put them on a tray and Games Workshop weighs them. That would be ridiculous. Okay, we got to vote for A. We got to vote for B. We got to vote for A. We got a couple of B's, a couple of A's. Okay, we're getting a lot more A's than B's here, guys. So, okay, for being War Master. New letter says for being War Master. I do feel like being War Master bumped you up. B for bald, though. B for bald. That's pretty good logic. I'm going to have to hear something from the A team here. To beat B for bald. That's very hard to beat. Horus should be S tier. Wow. Okay. Tell you what, we're gonna default the A. We're gonna give him an A. We're going to give Horus an A. I think he's earned it. He's kind of one of the big names. The model isn't the most exciting in the world, but it's not like... It's pretty good, and I quite like the stairs. And I like his pose, and I think his armor looks really cool. I think he's just let down by a sort of the missed opportunity that they had to have him with his hand like that. You know, I think that could have been a really good one. The entire event is named after him. Okay, sure. We're going to throw him an A. Okay, you got it, guys. You got it. Okay, right. Here we go. We have, I'm guessing that this is Sanguinius. Just from the white hair, the armor, it looks like Sanguinius. A for annex to the Imperium. All right, Dollface, you got it. You got it. All right. So this is Sanguinius, right? This is Sanguinius? It has to be. Wait, this is Fulgrim. Didn't we do Fulgrim? Oh, no, we didn't. So this is Fulgrim. Okay, so this is Fulgrim. Right. Okay. So this model, can we talk about this model for a little bit? What is going on? What's going on here? What is up with this face? What's going on? The pretty boy vampire. This ain't no pretty boy. This is not a pretty boy. At all. His sword's kind of cool. I'll give it that. His sword's kind of cool. But the face is just, oof. And it's kind of a pity because I love the purple. I absolutely adore the purple. Neil says, I was Games Workshop staff in the late 90s. We could actually buy armies by weight from head office. You could go down to Nottingham and pick up your metal out of containers. That's cool. Wow. Wow. Fulgrim is C tier for cucked. Oh my goodness. It's a great pose. It is a very gnarly pose. I'll give it that much. You can tell that he's screaming. I'll give him that much. What's going on here? He's in the middle of a fight. He doesn't have his gun ready. Come on. So we have to sort of imagine that Ferrus is kind of swinging his sword around. I mean, the vibe I get from these two is kind of like that scene in The Simpsons whenever Bart is waving his arms like that and Lisa's kicking and they're both walking towards each other. That's kind of the vibe I get from both of them. Let's see. Very pretty. He's like, I am perfection. He's too sexy for his armor. Okay. So this is the Emperor's Children. So this is my problem. I like the Emperor's Children. I do quite like the Emperor's Children. I'm a big fan of them. But this model is just really hard. Yeah, Games Workshop does not know how to sculpt faces. They've gotten better. They have gotten better over time. 100%. This guy is into perfection. But then why is he... His armor isn't really that ornate. You know, I feel like... So, I'm trying to remember the name of him. Oh, God. He's like my favorite character. It's Sig. Let's see. Warhammer, Fantasy. Let's see. Chaos. Okay, we gotta be careful here. Lord of Slaanesh. I'm trying to remember the name of him. The guy with the mirror guard. God, I don't know why. His name just has completely escaped me. There it is. Here it is. Okay. Right, so he's just become the... This is the generic version of it now. Come on, guys. Who's this guy's name? I can't remember. Oh, it's completely left me. Sigmund! Yes, Sigmund! Oh god, I can't believe I forgot that. He's like one of my favorite characters. Sigvald! Yes, Sigvald is like one of my favorite characters in Warhammer Fantasy. I can't believe I forgot him. But Sigvald, right, he's got like a vibe to him. He's got like the mirror guard who follow him around everywhere so that whenever he fights, he can always see himself when he's doing it. How does that show out for Fulgrim? What does Fulgrim do to make himself pop himself up, make himself feel like one of the best? I like the Emperor's Children, said the Total Deviant. Yes, well, I mean, that's the vibe, you know? Sigvald, right? The Sigvald monologue from Warhammer Total War is so good. Yes, the constant alliteration is just perfect. It's just perfect. Should probably said. Okay, so Sigvald. So what does Fulgrim have that Sigvald doesn't? What does Fulgrim do that makes him so pretty boy, so perfect? Come on, chat. What's his vibe? Demon sword. Oh, okay. So he has it. So this sword is a demon sword. This sword, is it like a possessed blade? Has it driven him mad? He has some pretty. Jesse says he has some pretty shocking allegations against him. Oh my goodness. Fulgrim likes himself so much he may be the downfall of the human race. Okay, that's a pretty big. Is he the one? is he the one that's gotten Slaanesh's attention? What's going on? So Fulgrim likes himself. I love how the entire chat is screeching Sigvald and Discourse is still giggling. There's a little bit of a delay because I'm using my phone, so I'm actually in the chat reading it that way. Fulgrim looks good, but he always did bad things in dark rooms, so he's got a little bit of a Super Hans vibe to him. Okay. His hair is supposed to be shiny. So it's not meant to just be white. It's meant to sort of shine in what way? Is there like starlight coming out of it? Because that would be badass. That would be badass. Imagine someone's hair was just like looking into the vortex of the galaxy or something. That would be really cool. Right, so this guy, a demon sword took over him. So he's got the classic sort of evil blade. It whispers to him in the night. Is that what's going on with Fulgrim? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I do like those kind of characters. Ever since Warcraft 3 and Arthas and Frostmourne turns him evil. I've always been a bit of a fan of that. I like that trope. So before that, was he like, I'm really perfect? He's a perfectionist and a braggart. He strives to make sure that he is the best, but only to ensure that no one else is his better or equal to him. His legion portrays this as well. Okay, Goatman, okay. That sounds pretty cool. Fulgrim killed Guilliman. He should get an A tier for taking that schmuck off the board. Okay, right. So here's what we're gonna do. I think that in terms of the characterization, he sounds pretty good. I quite like this whole he's in dark rooms doing dark things sort of vibe. I like that. I like that he's a bit of a braggart and a perfectionist. I like my Primarchs to come pretty flawed. And he sounds like a very flawed character, but very arrogant. I like my arrogant characters in fantasy. So, okay. The problem is I can't get past this face. It looks too weird. So that's going to knock a few. That's going to ding. That's going to ding a little off him. So I think we're going to put him in. We're going to put him in A. How about that? How does that look? Smack talking Ultramarines. Well, we'll get the Guilliman. And we'll chat about Guilliman. Because I think that for the longest time, Ultramarines have occupied a particularly hated space in Warhammer amongst a lot of other Space Marine fans. But, you know, we'll get the Guilliman. The trope of the weapon wielding the holder is pretty neat. Yeah, I quite like it. I'm a big fan. He took two brothers off the board. Also, Fulgrim got slapped by Perturabo and roasted by Khan. He's extremely competent, but also extremely prideful. Oh, C or D. People don't like him at A? People don't like Fulgrim at A? Dark Things in Dark Rooms sounds more like Vapius Bile. I feel like they could only make it Dark Things in Dark Rooms because they would have to, like, put an age rating on the book or something. Okay, so you guys are making me think, like, maybe we slide him down to B. Do we slide him down to B? But where is Fraser? Dude, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Whoever created this tier list just did not put Fraser in. I have not heard the Teal of Ryle Lenore. Right, we're gonna put him in B. Fulgrim's going in B, I think. Okay, here we go. Big man himself, Big Guilliman. Now, bear in mind, this is him as a Primarch. So we're judging him across time and space. So that means that both in the Horus Heresy and in the sort of modern day for 40k. Okay, so let's see. Here. So where do we put Guilliman? Let's look up his model. Let's pull up the model for Guilliman. Let's pull it up. So let's see here. The Guilliman model, if I recall correctly, is not very dynamic. It's very, very static. It's a very static model. Let's see. Where is he? Here he is. Now, the interesting thing about Guilliman is that his actual base has a lot going on. There's almost as much going on with his base as him. So it definitely beats the rocks, right? It beats the rocks. Let's see. So, he's got the big banners. Now, the thing I like about this model is that it comes with this big plinth. And I actually quite like that. And the reason why I like that is that it pulls across some of the personality of the Ultramarines. I think for the longest time, the Ultramarines have been perceived as very personalityless. Like, they don't have anything really going on. They're on the front of all the boxes of tactical Marines. They're all painted blue. They're on the front of everything. But they don't really... They're the default. And that means that they are the vanilla. But I like the Roman aesthetic of the Ultramarines. I think that's kind of cool. And the fact that they have these sort of Romanesque kind of banners that would have been carried into war in the time, I think that's good. Can we rate the base higher than the mini? That's the thing. I think Guilliman is pulling a lot from this base, which is good. It's gonna hold him in good stead, I think. V for vanilla, and V isn't even a category. So the thing I like about Guilliman is that he's kind of known as like a good bureaucrat. I do like that fact. I like that he's got a power outside of just I can punch better than other people. I feel like the I'm an amazing swordsman, I'm an incredible fighter is kind of played out. Like everybody claims to be the strongest fighter. Guilliman at least is like I'm just a vaguely competent guy. That's my power. I kind of like that. Although it's always been weird to me. It kind of makes me think about the Primarchs themselves and how are they better than other people? It's like their genes, right? Like they're superhuman. But the fact is like, it's kind of weird to think of Guilliman as humanly better at organizing things. They are the Cyclops of the X-Men. Let's see here. Plinth is a fun word to say. It is a fun word to say. The Ultramarines are only good because orcs think blue is lucky. That is brilliant. That is beautiful. B for Boy Scout. The thing is, right? So people say that Guilliman is a Boy Scout. But if you look at the stuff that he's gotten up to in 40k, he's pretty gnarly. He has literally, he's orchestrated a coup. From everything I understand, Guilliman has orchestrated a coup, and the High Lords of Terra have been completely declawed by this guy, which is outrageous. I'm surprised that they have resolved that as a plot thread so quickly and easily. I'm surprised the Games Workshop decided to do that. It really felt to me like Guilliman should have inspired a civil war in the Imperium. I'm surprised that they decided to break the Imperium physically in half rather than just culturally. It should have been Guilliman from Ultramar ending up in a civil war with the Imperium, in my opinion, I think. Personally thinking. Because I don't think you can take the head of the Imperial Church and execute them or put... I can't remember what he did, but he essentially... The head of the Imperial Church was on the wrong side, and Guilliman got rid of him. And I don't think you can do that without there being massive repercussions. Because all it takes is for the church to declare that Guilliman is chaos, that he has been infected or corrupted, or that he is a demon wearing the face of Guilliman as a trick. That's all it takes the church to do. Imagine if the church were mobilized in a way to begin preaching that Guilliman was a heretic. What would that do to the Imperium? I don't think that everyone would follow Guilliman. I think that plenty of them would be religiously motivated to turn against him. And the church is incredibly powerful. It's always been surprising to me that he sort of resolved that. It feels like he resolved it in a book. Yes, my superpower is spreadsheets. God, yes, the Lord of Excel. I'm legitimately waiting for a 40k schism, says Mike. Me too, to be honest, at this stage. It kind of feels like that's the case. The fact that they're doing the squats, and it seems like they're doing them to be a lighter version of the Imperium, like a nicer sort of faction, makes me think that maybe they aren't going to do the schism, because originally I thought they were. Ziggy says, they are waiting for the Lion to return, then you get the Civil War. Okay. Space Iguana says, I like this model of him 100 times more than the 40k one. This one doesn't feel so over the top due to the trim, and the Legionnaire style armor with straps adds a good flavor. I agree. So if you look at it's a really good point. So if you look at the actual model itself, let's open them up and let's zoom right in. Let's get right into the crevices here, guys. Let's get right into the crevices. So if you look at the armor, it's styled like that of a Roman armor, but it's not over the top. As you say, it just looks like there's straps. It looks like a chest piece. And then he's got the little sort of loincloth, that's kind of reminiscent of the Marion style armor. I think this looks pretty cool. Honestly, I like it. I like it. And I think that might be a little bit controversial, but I think this is saving Guilliman quite a bit. I do not think that the Imperium can afford another massive civil war. I don't think it's a question of whether or not they can afford it. I think is it interesting? And I think it would be interesting. Civil War would have been better. Have the Imperial Fist do the last wall and literally have Macridge versus Terra with Chaos in the middle playing them against each other. I think that would have been really, really cool. So how many times has Abaddon tried to conquer the Imperium? How many times now? A lot, right? Because I remember back in 2005, 2006, there was that big campaign, and he just keeps going at it. He just keeps going at it. Crotch shot, yes! And I feel like if they had Chaos, less of a sort of brutalistic, we're going to do a big crusade straight to the heart of Terra, and instead started playing off two different disparate Imperial factions against one another to weaken both, to set the stage for a final crusade, I think that would have been badass. And then what happens? Well, the Tyranids, of course. And at the very last moment, just as Chaos launched their crusade, the Tyranids arrive, and suddenly everything's gone mad. All of the carefully laid plans of Chaos have been completely disrupted. The Imperium has been utterly weakened by infighting, and now the Tyranid swarm has finally made contact. And all of the Gene Stealer cults that have been spread out across all the planets in the background suddenly rise up across the galaxy. Come on, that would be an awesome endgame. Luke Mendelssohn says he's a politician. You can't fight demons and have a civil war. I think you can. I mean, I think it's one of those things where the actions that Guilliman took probably should have led to a civil war. I'm not saying that Guilliman wanted a civil war. I'm saying that by arresting and getting rid of about half of the High Lords of Terra should have just intrinsically caused a civil war. Because whenever you get rid of the High Lords of Terra, think about that. Think about all the people who've been put into positions of power by those lords. Okay? And yeah, they might not want to risk their necks trying to protect those lords because Guilliman has put them away. But if I was one of those guys, I was the head of, say, the Arbites on Terra, and I had been put in place by one of the lords that Guilliman had personally arrested. My concern would now be the Guilliman sees me as an agent of that lord. I owe everything to that lord who is now under arrest. I'm totally incentivized to get rid of Guilliman. I don't want Guilliman around because Guilliman has just ruined my best chances. I've probably been working my entire life to curry favor with this High Lord of Terra. And like Guilliman has come in and completely disrupted it. And I'm probably going to get killed because of this. I have enemies, you know? So what do? Well, I'm going to conspire with the other lords. There's half the lords are gone. That means all of their minions are left headless. They're going to come together and they're going to decide what to do. Those High Lords of Terra have many, many friends. I'm just surprised that it happened without so much repercussion. I really am. Guilliman almost won a fight against Lorgar and Angron. The fight was ended when Lorgar turned Angron into a demon Primarch and a ritual while he fought Guilliman. That's pretty badass. His legs are too small. Oh, the duality of man. He fought a demon and a Primarch at the same time. Yeah, but his legs are too small. Not the crevices. Have you ever seen a Roman armor? I have seen Roman armor. It looks kind of vaguely. He's got the chest. I mean, it's space armor. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not space armor. I'm not saying that he's literally wearing Roman armor. I'm saying that it's reminiscent of it. You know, it's reminiscent of Roman armor. 100% with the leather. I think it is. You have me a crotch. Let's see here. Charles says, yeah, right, the church is going to call the son of the emperor warped and twisted by chaos. When the angels of death, the angels of the emperor are on his side, so it's a quick way to end the church. Is it? I don't think that they could end the church. I don't think Guilliman could end the church. If the head of the church was arrested, I mean, what's the response to that? So if the head of the church is arrested, what does that mean for the imperial church? That someone corrupt has been running the head of the church? But the head of the church is anointed by the emperor himself, surely. Surely the emperor would have had that, right? This is the problem with Van Dyer. You have to, after the fact, construct the idea that they were wrong, that there was some sort of underlying issue. If you arrest the head of the church, it puts so many people into such a problem. Removing any dictatorship seems to lead to conflict. Digidevolution says, forming Imperium Secundus was like a heretical move. Nimbletack says, this is all very specific. Is there something you're not telling us, Discourse? Fulgrim says, the best thing for the Primarch to do would be to go to therapy. Louis BB says, you just a couple of steps away from historicals. Come on over. I think there's I have played, so I do play some historicals, but I always like a little dash of fantasy in them, so I've played like Silver Bayonet and stuff, and I really want to play Turnip 28. I know that's not quite a historical because it's set like thousands of years after, but or I think it's thousands of years. I read the book a while ago, but never quite just full historicals outside of like bolt action or games that make things authentic rather than accurate. I prefer sort of historically authentic games. Yes, the emperor did hate religion, but tell that to the church, you know. I agree. Logically, a civil war should have followed, at least on Mars, due to Belisarius Claw and his techno-heresy. Agreed. Totally agreed. You can't just create this society that is totally against any sort of movement forward in technology outside of very specific formats, and then say, hey, we found this new technology. We're gonna do it. We're just gonna go. We've been like innovating. Like they're not in favor of it. Okay, so, but let's see. So in terms of Guilliman, though, I think I'm going to give him an A, guys. I think this might be a little bit controversial, but I think the thing about Guilliman is he creates conflict. And though I think that the conflict itself was sort of wasted, I feel like there could have been a lot more to it. I like the fact that he caused some conflict within the Imperium, and he's brought to the fore ideas of what is the Imperium, what is it about, how is it organized. I think those are all really interesting questions. If Guilliman knew that there was a venerable word-bearer's dreadnought on the main world of the Ecclesiarchy influencing this faction for thousands upon thousands of years, you had a civil war. And now I'm looking up Silver Bayonet. So, Aaron, the thing about Silver Bayonet is that basically it's like Napoleonic, but it's skirmish sized. You're playing as warbands, and there are monsters. There are monsters. So basically too much gunpowder was fired during Napoleon's wars, and now it has opened a rift in the sky, and fae and vampires and trolls and goblins and scarecrow men have all begun to appear in Europe. And so you play as these two, you're both playing as a warband, and there's like an AI monster, and you're trying to beat each other and kill the monster. It's a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend it. It's written by Joe McCullough, same guy who did Frostgrave and I'm drawing a blank, Oathmark, right? So yeah, 100%. I would totally recommend it. The problem with the Civil War is that the Custodies were on his side, and they hold more power in the faith than the church. Do the Custodies hold more power in the church, in the faith than the church? Because the Custodies are only like 10,000 of the Custodies, right? But the church is everywhere. Any planet that the Imperium conquers, like the church will have some form there. It might be different. There might be different imperial cults and stuff like that, and different creeds, but they will have a presence. The Custodies are like a minute, and I guess on Terra itself, the Custodies might be more powerful. It's great. Add turn up to it, and then it's on to Stalingrad. It's cool. Dolpheus. Yeah, Silver Bayonet is really awesome. It's really cool. Charles says, or as history has taught us, in a totalitarian regime, if your boss is purged, you work doubly hard to prove your loyalty to the new boss, lest you get purged. Yeah, during the purge. Okay, so yeah, basically, I mean, that's what Guilliman's doing, right? Like, he is purging stuff. Kind of, my problem with Games Workshop is that they're sort of portraying Guilliman as, like, this nice guy. It's like, oh, he's making the rational, logical decision. But if I was Guilliman, like, I'd be really concerned that if I started doing purges, that people would really, like, that this could really destabilize things. I'd be really concerned about that. There are monsters. Come on, the French are not so bad. I play the French in Silver Bayonet, so they're not so bad. They're lovely. They're lovely. Nilo says, the Custodies has absolute control and the hundreds of thousands of agents of the Imperium. The novel is very interesting. They have hundreds of thousands of agents. So, okay, so they have... See, I've read little bits and pieces of the Custodies Codex. That's where I get most of my lore. I get most of my lore from the Codex, rather than, like, from the books. I don't really engage with Black Library, like, too much. Outside of very specific authors. So I'm surprised to hear there's loads of agents. I understand that they work together in task forces and stuff like that. What has the Custodies to do with the Ecclesiarchy and the Church? Asks Frasier. Let's see, the Alpha Omega Project says the Custodies overthrew the Church last time. Did they? I don't know, dude. I think a couple of flagellants could probably take on the Custodies. Okay, maybe not. Right, let's see. Who we got next? There's still so many. I have to imagine most of these are... Yeah, because I think that's demon form Horus that we've used, but... okay, so let's go up to our next one, guys. Who is this one? Who's this guy? This is like a ghost. I don't know what's going on with this picture. This is the ghost of somebody. If you look, he's got like a little ghost legs. Hunkler says, if the lion was revived, we'd have had the Civil War. G-Man is the only one who could have kept the Imperium intact. I mean, I suppose, he's supernaturally good at spreadsheets, right? As mentioned before. So I suppose that, like, he is the guy who could do it. I just feel like there was scope for a lot of story there that they just didn't take. I think that there could have been a really interesting story with an Imperium Civil War. I'm kind of disappointed that he didn't take it. I feel like the whole thing about 40k, the thing I like about the Imperium is that things are always going wrong. That they're always losing, slowly but surely. It's a very it's a grimdark setting, right? I don't think that it's good for the Imperium to win. I think that they should often lose, and at great cost. Often because they are in their decline period. The Tau are the ones who are in their future. Although, unfortunately, they're probably going to get eaten by the Tyranids. But I like it when the Imperium has lots of setbacks. So when Guilliman comes in and sort of sorts out a lot of stuff, I'm not a big fan of that, just personally. Let's see. The custodians are considered the Emperor's word made flesh. Yeah, but there's not a lot of them. I mean, I take your point if there's a lot of agents around. I take your point. But then, like, I mean, their agents don't have the benefits of being custodians, right? Because there's only 10,000 of them. So the agents can be used to sort of, like, spread the word or whatever. Let's see here. So this is the text-to-speech ghost of Ferrus. Okay, it's excellent. Right, Ferrus. Let's pull him up. Let's pull up Ferrus. Let's go. Jaghatai Khan, what are you doing here? Okay, let's see. Ferrus. We're looking for you, Ferrus. Let's see here. Oh, that's Alpharius. I think he's the last one. So we're going to pull up Ferrus. We're going to have a look at him. It's Mortarion. Here he is. Wait, no, hold on. Right. We've already done Ferrus. So that's going into... It's going into F tier. I mean, I suppose, can I just drop them in? Yeah, I can drop them last. So let's do that. Drop all the demons last. Because we're not rating the demons here. We're rating the Primarchs, okay? We're keeping the scope pretty limited. Okay, what's going on here? Who's this guy? Who is the top knot man? That's Jaghatai Khan. He is the White Scars, the bike man, the biking society, the bikies. Also, isn't the head of the Custodies the High Lord of Terra? Well, so what I like about the High Lords of Terra, when compared to sort of having Guilliman be in charge of the Imperium, the thing I like about the High Lords of Terra is that they're very impersonal. I like the fact that the High Lords are an impersonal government, that they aren't a person. You couldn't really name them. They sort of change because the scope of the Imperium is so big and over such a wide, expansive period of time that the High Lords shift and change with the politics of Terra. And I like that. I like that there isn't a person you can point to because the symbolic leader is the Emperor. But the High Lords come and go and they're playing their political moves and it's so important to them and it's so important to the Empire, to the Imperium as a whole. And yet ultimately, we don't even really know their names most of the time. And I kind of like that. I think that's interesting. Yeah, I think this is Sanguinius, but it's kind of a weird picture. Usually I expect to see him with the hair, you know? Miro says, if you truly do heal from the realm that man once called hell, when you return there, tell your kindred it was Sanguinius who threw you back. So, okay, so I know that everybody loves Sanguinius. Everybody loves him. Everybody loves Sanguinius. I have a friend who plays the Blood Angels, and he is a massive, massive fan of Sanguinius. He really likes Sanguinius. The problem with Sanguinius is he has possibly one of the worst sculpts, one of the worst models on Forge World. I'm sorry, but like, so this wing, these wings are kind of cool, but that's just part of the character, right? That's part of the character design. I don't like this. I don't like the way he sort of looks like he's kind of sitting on a little rock. Really poorly. I give Sanguinius an S tier, says Daniel. His mini has a second mini that forms his mini. I don't know. This is a weird one. I don't like this model at all. It really is a terrible model. I get that people really love Sanguinius. And I really quite like the Blood Angels myself, but that could be just because of proximity. I'm around someone who really likes the Blood Angels, so he's always extolling the virtues of them. So I'm constantly getting bombarded with Blood Angel stuff. Let's see here. Humpty Dumpty has really changed. Yes, 100%. Such a bad model. I agree, Luke. It's really not good. I get the vibe they were going for. So I think that they were going for the sort of angel look. There's lots of art with angels with blades kind of coming down to earth. And I think that's sort of the look they were going for. But I just think it did not hit. It didn't land at all for me. So that's kind of a problem. Now, okay, guys. So chat, convince me. So apart from Sanguinius just being the golden boy and being a nice, a nice pair of gams. I'm trying to think of something. A nice pair of wings. He's a lovely little bird. But what makes Sanguinius interesting as a character? What is it about the character that interests you guys? Let's see. The scenic base. Okay. So this, let's see. So it's weird because everybody else gets the scenic base shown off, but Sanguinius is just getting that. Better than a cheap flight stand. I actually think that a cheap flight stand might have looked better. Honestly, I actually think that a cheap flight stand might have just looked better. I don't like that when models are sort of around a rock. I'm just not a big fan. I think they should have had him like stepping over something, like as if he has been flying and he's just landed and he's like moving. I think that would have looked a bit cooler rather than have him sort of kind of in this half and half pose. He's not an ultramarine. No, of course not. Sanguinius is blood angels, dude. The beloved brother that hides his raid issues. The blood. Family man and all-round good guy. Family man, okay. His struggle against impending doom. Weird A. Parker says, Discourse, please explain why the forces of chaos don't just guard the rift and let the Tyranids destroy the Imperium. So firstly, to the extent that chaos are aware of the Tyranids, I'm not too sure, right? Like, chaos obviously have touch upon the Tyranids, but you've got to remember, I think the worst thing possible for chaos is that the Tyranids win. Because chaos is terrified of Tyranids. I don't know, but I know the Chaos Gods are sort of ephemeral things outside of time and space that don't really feel emotions as we would typically imagine them to do so. But the Tyranids have this thing called the Scream from the Warp, I believe it's called. Essentially, all around a Tyranid hive fleet, it deadens the psychic link of everyone around it. Screams from the Warp. And basically, it voids the capacity of psychers to manifest power. That's their direct link with the warp. Now, you imagine what that does to a demon, right? It completely shuts off the Chaos's ability to manifest on the material plane. Now, I know that obviously they have to make considerations for gameplay, so Chaos demons can actually fight Tyranids. But generally speaking, the vibe I always got was that this really does hurt the warp. It really severs the link between the material and the immaterial planes. And so, what that means is that the worst possible thing for Chaos is for lots of Tyranid hive fleets to be flying around in material space right around them. I think if it came down to it, Chaos would fight with anyone against the Tyranids. Shadow in the Warp. That's it. Yes, guys. Yes, exactly. I think that's really cool, by the way. I think Shadow in the Warp is really awesome. I think that's really cool. Chaos versus Nihilism, says Funksim. Chaos loses. I think so, too. Because ultimately, Chaos requires emotions. It requires to feed off emotions and human souls. If the Tyranids come in and eat everything, then it kind of... What's the point? You know, there's nothing for Chaos to feast upon at that stage. I don't think Chaos wants the Tyranids to win at all. I don't even think that they want the Tyranids to come in, consume everything, and then leave. Chaos doesn't want to win that way. To be honest, the actual goal of Chaos, to me, has always felt incoherent. There isn't really an end goal of Chaos. I think there's end goals of certain people involved in Chaos or who have pledged themselves to Chaos. But the Chaos Gods, I think the whole goal of the Chaos Gods is to just exist. Is to just continue. And it's just their nature. It's just their existence is what drives the conflict. It's just the mere fact that they are is what they are. I think they're self-perpetuating. Yep, and Necrons as well. They're not big fans. They're not fans of that either. Tarmanel says, the only thing that united the gods of chaos was the fear of an atheistic empire that would not feed chaos with emotion. Tyranids are 100 times worse. That's true. Tyranids are terrifying. Nimbletack says, with the hot take, says, Tyranids will never win though because they're not due until the 41st millennium, and it's always 40k in universe. Yeah, exactly. So I've never seen the scenic base, and the fact that there is a nicer scenic base, but that was limited edition, makes me kind of annoyed. And so Sanguinius is not getting the S tier, guys. I'm sorry. You can blame Games Workshop. Don't blame me. He's not getting S tier. am I gonna be juicy? Am I gonna put him in D? Is that too much? Is that too much? Is that too much? Yeah, chaos is temporary. Okay, so Hayes says chaos is a temporary victory. If they actually win, they will eventually burn out. This is the vampire dilemma. I totally agree. I totally agree. I totally agree. I'm gonna put Sanguinius in A. I think he's really totally let down by the model. But we're kind of judging it based on half of the model and half as the character. And so, I mean, I kind of like the vampire vibe. I like the blood rage. I've always been a bit of a fan of the blood rage. So, he's not getting S tier. He's not getting S tier because limited edition scenic bases suck. Okay, and here we go. Here's nice Horus. This is nice Horus. So we already did Horus. So he's going to the bottom. Okay, and then we've got Jaghatai Khan. Jaghatai Khan's next. I know Jaghatai Khan. I know him, the white scars, because I remember looking at them and being like, I'm never going to paint the white scars. I can't paint white. Oh, Andrew, thank you so much. The $5 donation, thank you so much. Yo, will you make your own miniatures game, and how would you make it? Yeah, I would love to make my own miniatures game. I really would. I think what I would do is, I think a miniatures game that I'd love to make would be a co-op one. I'd love to do a sort of containment protocol style game where you're playing as government agents trying to hunt down supernatural monsters and capture them. It's kind of like a Kingdom Death sort of game, but with more freeform sort of movement and stuff. So it's more of a war game than a board game, and it would be all about just trying to capture monsters, like a more with guns and with melee weapons and using strange technologies that have been crafted by these kind of monstrous wares and stuff. I think that would be a lot of fun, and it would be a totally co-op or solo game. So the monsters would have an AI deck that they would use. They'd be like big boss monsters, and you're just these agents trying to capture them. I think that would be a lot of fun. I've got like a little bit of an idea of how it would work. I'd love to make that. Okay, Jaghatai Khan, he does love to go fast, and for that reason, he's getting an S. Now, we're going to go look at his model, but I think it's pretty perfunctory. I like Jaghatai Khan. I like the fast that he goes vroom vroom. S for speed is 100% the best thing. World of Darkness Hunter Edition. Yes, exactly. So World of Darkness is a TTRPG. It's a tabletop role-playing game, and most people will probably know Vampire the Masquerade, so you play as vampires. But there's also Werewolf, where you play as werewolves. There's a Geist, where you play as a Geist, as a ghost. And there is a Hunter, where you play as human mortals trying to hunt down monsters. And I would love to create a miniatures game based around the idea that you are hunters trying to take down these really powerful, really scary, really frightening monsters that have got all these weird, sick designs, kind of reminiscent of like Dark Souls, but in a modern sort of dark aesthetic. I think that would be loads of fun. Basically, SPP Foundation, yeah, sort of similar. Yeah, it's sort of similar. Sounds like XCOM. Yeah, it'd be like XCOM, but with supernatural sort of monsters, kind of like King Paimon or something. You know, like very weird sort of monsters. Canton says $5. Thank you so much, Canton. That's lovely. Thank you. $5 donation. That's so nice. Oh, so lovely. You guys are great. That's so lovely. You literally have no idea how much my wife and I love watching your videos. Keep up the great work. Love seeing consumer values represented in gaming. Thank you. That means a lot. So with the channel, I get a lot of negativity directed my way because I'm critical of a lot of sort of major corporate sort of decision making and action. So I get a lot of negativity. So it really does mean a lot whenever people, send love my way. So thank you so much, Kenton. I really do appreciate that. Hunter is imbued. Juicy says, surprisingly they go for speed while being white, not red. I know, right? Like, why aren't these people getting on the orc bandwagon here? Don't they understand how this works? So let's delete a few tabs. I'm sort of notorious for having way too many tabs open. Here we go. Here's my boy. So he's got the top knot. Jaghatai Khan. No, I think at the time, people were a little bit meh on the model. I think people weren't that super excited about the model when it first came out. But I like it. I actually kind of like it. It looks like he's just killed a guy, and he's kind of holding his sword aloft, and he's going to put it in to the scabbard. I think that's kind of cool. Which Jimmy says, let's remember, Fulgrim said, I heard you do strange things to your gear, and Khan answered, I heard you do strange things to your man. Oh. That's a pretty good comeback. That's a pretty good comeback. Oh, yeah. That's a pretty good pitch, says Fumskin. A step closer to X-Files than XCOM. Exactly. And it would be totally designed for like 1 to 3 or 4 players. I think that would be a lot of fun. Kimo Sabi says, keep up the good work. Love your angry critical videos. Thank you. Which image says, being critical is worthy of respect nowadays. Thank you so much. Timothy says, the Kana grid model let down by the head sculpt. Looks European rather than Mongolian. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. I guess it's sort of partly to do with how it's sculpted and partly to do with the sort of paint job, right? Kind of wish he had a bike, says Jack. Yeah, like imagine he had just like a bike on his base. That would kind of look badass. That would kind of look badass. Yeah. I agree with you guys. I agree with you. I do think he's let down by the head sculpt. But I love the armor. I think the armor looks really cool. It looks really cool. It's one of those ones where it's very ornate, and you can see clearly that there's a lot of livery on it. But at the same time, it's not too much. You know? It's not like kind of... It's not spiraling out of the model. I like it. I think it's got a real vibe to it. It's very unique amongst the armor pieces of all the models. I just feel the guy from the Biker Legion should have a bike, but we all know GW does not give bikes to White Scar special characters model-wise. Yeah, I kind of wish that... It's kind of weird, right? So if all the other Primarchs were sort of just hanging out on some rocks, standing about, and then Jaghatai Khan rolls up in his bike, it would have looked a little bit weird, I guess, because these models, I think, are definitely directed at collectors. They're definitely directed at people who want to have a shelf full of the Primarchs for like $1,500. Those crazy people. So yeah, I think that's a little bit Moto Surf, says Ryan Berry. Wow, Daniel with a pretty bold claim. Craptacular says, of course he's bored. He doesn't have his bike. Yeah, I don't know. He looks kind of stern. I like it. I honestly like it. Obviously, these things are always going to be very subjective. So, I like it. But I'm not going to apologize for putting Jaghatai Khan at S tier, because I think he's a total badass. Okay. Dan McMara says, GW didn't want to build a bike that big. Yeah, it's probably true. Okay, right. I think we've seen this guy before. So I think this is just like, yep, this is the head of the Night Lords. Okay. He should have been an anthropomorphic motorcycle, but GW is a bunch of cowards, says Orc Dork. An anthropomorphic motorcycle. That is incredible. I actually love that idea. He's like a transformer. That's glorious. Thank you so much for that. That imagery is just incredible. Demon Konrad Curze. Yep. Okay, so who we got now? We got Leman Russ, right? This is Leman Russ. Sean was with the 25 PLN. Gork is the best Primarch. You're welcome. Thank you so much for that donation. That is lovely. Thank you. That's really nice. Seriously, you guys, it actually helps out so much. Right now I am in a sort of spot of bother housing-wise, so it's really incredible. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, Sean Moss. Or Shawaz. Apologies for mispronouncing. That's so nice of you. With the pirate portrait. It's really cool. Let's see. Just got here. I'm gonna go back to the start so I don't miss you talking about my fave boy Fulgrim, says Stern. I don't think I had a lot to say. Okay, see Isaac Discourse. What country are you based in? I'm based in Northern Ireland. Hayes Jew says that's some chaos stuff right there. Gork is the best Primarch. I think it's 50-50 with Mork, but I think that the Gork sort of wins it out. Okay, so we got Leman Russ here. We got Leman Russ, the Primarch of the Space Wolves. Now I like Space Wolves. I like the Space Wolves as a chapter. I think this goes back to the fact that I do quite like the chapters that have a little bit more personality sculpts wise, like the Thousand Suns and the Death Guard, where they've got like their own unique things. And it's unfair on a lot of other chapters because Games Workshop just has not paid attention to them much. But the wolves, the Space Wolves they've gotten a little bit. Now, so I don't know what's going on with him personality-wise, but I do know that there's a lot going on with his face. Okay. Oh, Cawdor with a $5 Canadian dollar donation. Thank you. I love the AOS and fantasy lore, but lost my love for the game due to price increases. Love the work you do for this channel. Thank you for everything. Thank you so much, Cawdor. That's really lovely. Thank you for the donation. And on top of that, thank you for all the laughs as well. Thank you. That's really nice of you. That's really lovely. Everyone's so generous. It's really nice. B for wolf. That doesn't. You can't say B for wolf. It's got to be like B for or D for dog or something. You know, you got to get it like kind of semi-related. Russ, the only Primarch that counts. B for wolf. So I do think he is really let down by his model, guys. So I get what they're going for. They're going for a very dynamic sculpt. They're trying to make it look like, oh, he's in the middle of running. And again, just like the Angron model, I think that it doesn't quite work. I think when he was sculpted, they just didn't. It's the problem with the, I think it's the armor. The armor looks kind of clunky, and it's just the way the Space Marine armor looks. It looks kind of clunky, generally speaking. So it's kind of weird to see them kind of running. Overboard says, I don't know nothing about the Primarchs. I'm here learning from you. Thank you for the breakdown. Thank you so much for your donation there. It's a $5 donation from Overboard. That is really awesome. Thank you so much. That's really nice. And I'm glad you're learning, because I'm learning too. I'm learning so much more than I knew. All I ever get told about is Sanguinius. So I never get to hear much about the other guys. So it's nice for me to get it in my head, right? Especially with all this Horus heresy stuff coming out. It's important for me to learn about this sort of stuff so I can actually consider some of it. So let's see. Leman is considered the Emperor's executioner. GW can't sculpt faces. Now I'll give this to GW with their face sculpt here, okay? They tried to make him look a bit like a wolf. They tried to make him look like a werewolf. He looks like he's in mid-transition into a werewolf. He does look that way. And I do like his armor. His armor is pretty ornate. It's got a little bit of the sort of runic symbols in it. I am a sort of fan of that. And I like the copious amounts of wolf hair, which it's something that you sort of expect. It's something you sort of expect from the space wolves. Molding for Fanti says, what you're saying about the king of the Vikings with his blonde hair and boyish good looks and all those teeth. So many in one head. Oh, yes. Hey there, Restless Kaiser. Hey there. Yeah, so I don't mind the face on this one. I definitely think it's better than Angron. The problem with that Leman Russ has, he has a lot of the problems of Angron. It's the sculpt itself is kind of a little bit weird. The dynamic of it isn't that great. And he's not wearing any makeup, so he doesn't get the sort of pity category bump. The pity tier bump. Lions, Wolves, F for Fenris. Now, here's the thing about Leman Russ that I quite like. Here's the thing I like about Leman Russ. The Leman Russ battle tank is named after him. I like that. I think that's cool. Because it means that even whenever I didn't know much about the Primarchs at all, before this stream, but even whenever I knew nothing about the Primarchs, I knew about Leman Russ, because all my Imperial Guard vehicles, well, my Leman Russ tanks were named Leman Russ. And I just thought that was a very cool, true to life sort of thing, where we name, like the Churchill tank, for example, where these vehicles get named after iconic people, in a particular culture. So I just thought that was very interesting. Leman Russ cannot turn and or transform into a werewolf. Well, I mean, I guessed that much, but they've gone for like that vibe, and I think it's so super appropriate, right? I don't think he suits a beard. Well, then again, he's got like a bit of a baby chin. The face looks a bit better on the unpainted model to me. I think he'd look more badass with a short beard. Okay, so what do you guys reckon? What do you guys reckon in terms of tier? What do you think? He probably also killed at least one of the lost Primarchs. You reckon? See, I don't know anything about the lost Primarchs other than that they're lost. Probably Rogal Dorn tank is coming. Agreed. Okay. So based on the model, based on the fact that I like the Space Wolves, I think this is going to go into C tier. I think C tier for Fenris. Or for Leman Russ. Primarch of the Space Wolves. I think that's where for Leman Russ. Yeah. It's just it's the armor, the running. I don't think it works together. BB chin. Okay. So we got the Dark Angels here. We got the Dark Angels. It's time to go back. Gotta stay hydrated, guys. Gotta stay hydrated. It's very thirsty work trying to allocate a tier to each of these men. Very, 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 very thirsty work. All right, so we got Lionel Johnson right. Like, tell me I'm right. This game is rigged. It's a C. You're lucky he's not a D. That model is not greatly posed, in my opinion. I don't think it's a very good pose at all. It's just all the wolf imagery has saved him, has put him into C. One is lost, one is damned. I don't know what that means, but that's what they say. Siphon says, Rogal Dorn tank release is GW going Primarchs over the Leman Russ tank, replacing it. Lots of leaks telling of Leman Russ tanks getting worse. Well, they sort of updated the Leman Russ tank, didn't they, for the Gene Stealer cult release, if I recall correctly. Didn't they buff it a little bit? Hayes Jew says, Lost Primarchs were in short, retcon plan to let players homebrew their own lore. GW ran with the idea that they were actually so messed up they had to be removed from history. So that was the original purpose of as far as I know, that was the original purpose of the Lost Primarchs. It was to say that you didn't have to create a chapter based on one of the existing chapters, you didn't have to be a successor chapter at all. You could create your own chapter and you could say that, oh, well, it's from one of the Lost Primarchs, and no one could disagree with you. And I think they served a really important purpose for that role. I think that was kind of astute of Games Workshop to do that, to give people the scope to create their own. And for that reason, I don't think the Lost Primarchs should ever be explained. I don't think that we should ever learn anything about them. I think that they serve a really important point for that reason. I think that's a really important purpose, so that people can say, my guys are from the Lost Primarch. Whatever they do, it's totally justified that for that reason. Yep, so we got Lionel Johnson from The Rock. Okay. So, here's the thing, right? I'm gonna be honest. I do dig the sort of Crusader vibe that he's got going on. I mean, I kind of like it. He's got big shoulder pads. He's got a big tabard. He's got the big wings on his helmet. I'm a fan of that. And the helmet itself has got a very medieval look. So, Lionel Johnson, he's got the most, what I would call the classic space knight fantasy going on. He looks like a space knight, which is the vibe of the Space Marines to me. To me, I want my Space Marines to look like medieval knights going out on a mad crusade to nowhere and for no good reason. And Lionel Johnson sort of encapsulates that vibe. So for that reason, I quite like it. Now, here's the thing. This is kind of a weird model because you've got this Night Lord Space Marine kind of pointing a gun at him. It just looks really weird to me. There's something very odd. Now, I like the way the scale is shown off really well here. So it shows you that Lionel Johnson is massive. He's towering over this little Marine here, even if he is standing up slightly on some rocks. So let's see. Lion with BS here for sleeping. Siphon says, Leman Russ tank 2+ save, but TC's going BS4, losing ground in advanced double fire. Let's see. Sanguinius is only A tier, says Matt. Yes, that is true. The model let him down. The miniature let him down quite a lot. The female Primarch and Furry Primarch are indisputable, 100%. So Modeling for Fancy says, Lionel, hello Richie, I mean Johnson. Yes, that exactly, right? Well, Lionel Johnson, obviously, named after the poet, right? Named after the poet. Just a little sort of English schoolboy humor there. Aaron Adorable says, Lion Johnson from Dwayne Johnson. Don Pascio says, Black Templars are the Crusader ones, though. Yeah, I know that Black Templars are sort of renowned for their crusading, but, I mean, all the Space Marines have gone on crusades. They're all knights. It's just the Black Templars really, really lean in to that vibe. But I like that vibe. I think it's really interesting, and that kind of buffs up Lionel Johnson for me. Dollface with the $5 donation, the Australian $5. Love your videos, discourse. You're the best. Thank you so much, Dollface. That's really lovely. Thank you. That's really kind. And I love your little hand-drawn portrait there. That's so nice. Thank you. It's very nice of you. Gorkmark comes in with the pose sucks, and I think that is kind of true. There's not a lot going on with this pose. He's just kind of standing there like he's just swinging his sword around. I'm not the biggest fan. They didn't try the face, they just gave him a helmet. But I think that's kind of cool, though. I think giving him the helmet is kind of neat. Because a lot of the other Primarchs do have their faces revealed. And so giving him the helmet, I think, makes him look even more intimidating. Like, in the context of the other Primarchs, you know? Oh, Mike with the $20 donation. Dollars for Daddy Dorn. Love your content. Thank you so much, Mike. Thank you. That means a lot. Seriously, that means a huge amount to me. That is so nice. Thank you so much. Makes it all worth it. 100%. Putting up with the Gork Mork. Darkwave says the option for the face is there. Ooh, okay, so we can see so we can't get here we go. All right, so here we go. We've got the face. What do we think, chat? With or without the face? What looks better? What do we think? Helmet, face. Helmet, this is it. Or the face. What do you guys think? Because actually, I mean, I think in theory I would prefer the helmet usually. But his face, I mean, I like the emotion on the face. He's looking really mad. It actually makes the pose sort of make a little bit more sense. Also, I think I prefer this sword rather than the chain sword. I think I prefer the blade. The blade. Let's see, the successor faction rally around Boris Johnson and doing Impexit. Oh my goodness. Hunkler says, DA are the Dark Angel of the First Legion, Templars are second founding. Matt says, that's fine. Yeah, no argument on that one. Sanguinius model was I was trying to pull off Majestic and Murder Machine and not landing on either well. Yeah, I think that, I think it's really a tough one. I think whenever I think, first of all, I think flying models are really tough. And I think trying to encapsulate a flying model and have them landing on the ground is like I think it's a very courageous move to sculpt the model like that. It's very audacious because there's so much that's going on with the model like that. I also think that he was let down by not having the scenic base be available, having it as a limited edition. I think kind of let it down because from what everyone was telling me, the scenic base really adds to that character, and I could really see that because with the wings, with him kind of flying down, with the little pillar sticking up, it looks kind of weird. But with the scenic base, I think it'd look a lot better. So you guys think with the helmet? I like the beard though. I think the beard is really nice, and I like the emotion on the face. But the helmet is very cool. The helmet is very cool. The helmet stays on, says Mike. No, leave the helmet. Face makes the pose better, but helmet's more thematic. I think that you nailed it. Braxonian. I think that the pose itself it looks kind of weird. It looks very static. But the moment that you add in the screaming face, I think suddenly it looks like he's swinging a lot more. And it's kind of interesting that the face can do that, isn't it? It's kind of interesting that the sculpt as a whole is made a bit better by the emotion on the face. I think that's actually really cool. But I agree with you guys. I think that the helmet does look cooler because the helmet is very intimidating. I think for Lionel Johnson, I'm tempted, guys. I'm tempted to give him an S. What do you think about that? Is that too much? Is that just too much? I never understood him as being especially emotional, says Job. I guess not. I mean, I don't know. I mean, you tell me. I don't know anything about them. But I'll tell you this much. I imagine that during battle and someone's pointing a gun right at your face, I mean, I feel like you'd scream as you swing your sword. Just personally. I think I would scream. I think I'd be screaming the entire way in any battle, in any context. I think I'd just be screaming. Which is the sword Guilliman broke, and which is the one that Cypher has? Which Jimmy says, I don't know why, but my favorite part of the model might be the cape. Let me see here. The cape is really lovely. I'll say this much. The paint job on this is very nice. It's very well done. Let's have a look at the cape. Let's 360 this bad boy. Let's go. The cape's nice. Well, whoops. The cape is nice. I don't know if it's like... I like the fact that it has the white on the inside and the green on the out. I think that's very nice. Big energy S tier. All right, okay. We're giving him S. Okay. Who's this? I'm actually not sure. I don't recognize this at all. S for screaming. Job. Big energy. Baxonia says his story kind of dwells into the inhumanity and sort of difficulty understanding emotional Primarchs have. Not as much as Dorn, but it is there. Hay said he can read the future. Night Lords and Dark Angels have some hardcore beef, and both could see the future as they fought. Okay, so this is Lorgar. It's kind of like, to me, that's an orc name, but okay. Rogar. Okay, right, let's find him. Lorgar. Ferrus Manus. We got Mortarion. Magnus the Red. Here we go. Okay. Ooh. Look at this. Look at this model. All right. Okay, I'm already getting calls to put him in F tier. Okay. So while I'm looking at the model, guys, what's this guy's personality? This is the word bearers, right? Yeah, word bearers. What's this guy's personality? What's going on with this guy? What's going on with this guy? Why should I put him in F, or why should I put him in S? So I'll tell you what this guy reminds me of. This is a really random reference, but he reminds me of, if anyone's ever played Killzone, he makes me think of a Helghast. He has that kind of bald, aging, sickly sort of look to him. Like, not to the extent of, say, Mortarion or something like that. Like, not to the extent of, like, a Nurgle guy. But he looks kind of old and decrepit, and I kind of like that. So Neil Crompton says, the architect of the heresy. Now, that's a pretty cool title. I like that. Braxonian says he wanted to worship the Emperor as a god until he was told not to, so he worshipped chaos instead out of spite. I do know this guy. Preachy, he's pious. Yes. Okay, I'm liking that. Now, I think a lot of people would find this sculpt pretty boring. He's just kind of standing there, but I like it. I like the power pose. I think I said this with Horus. I do like it when people are just standing there like, come at me, bro. Plus, this mace. Whoa, look at this mace, guys. That thing, that can't hit you, that would hurt. That would hurt. And it's a nice breakup of the swords. I'm liking this. You expect the gasp. He's the one who started the heresy. So he's kind of like the whispers, right? He's like the voice in the ear. Lorgar's all about the Emperor as a god. Funnily enough, 40k Imperium is what Lorgar wanted. I'm liking the sound of this guy, and I like the base, so that's just the standard one. But let's pull up the scenic base again. I like the way he's sort of standing. There's a lot going on here. So obviously, I don't know the context of this base. But to me, it strikes me like he's at a shrine. Or that he's in a cave somewhere, sort of hidden away, doing this worship, this forbidden worship that he's not allowed to do. It speaks so much to the character, I think. It's saying that he's hidden away, that he's kind of got this strange, dark rituals going on. I like it. I like it, guys. Clerics got maces. That's very true. That is very true, lack of gravitas. Clerics do indeed have maces. Let's see. Witchemy says, I'm so triggered by the fact he's actually leaning forward. That looks very unstable. It's too static, too similar to Horus's model, says Rob. Jacob says he's also a petulant man-child. Okay, so he's a bit petulant, huh? I don't know. I don't mind models having a little bit of static to them. I mean, I think obviously there's a world of difference between the modern Space Marine Primaris Intercessor versus the classic 90s tactical Marine with the gun like that. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of that pose. But, you know, I kind of like it. It looks kind of intimidating. He's got a very sort of come at me, bro. Although now that Witch Image, I'm kind of catching on to what you're saying. He is leaning forward a little, and it kind of does make me a little bit nervous too. Let's see. Hayes Jew says, Lorgar actually hit Guilliman in the face with that mace. That's got to add some points, right? That's got to boost you up a tier. Right? Let's see. He broke Guilliman's skull through the helmet. Inspired by the mummy, maybe. The word of Lorgar actually became the Imperial Cult. I'm a big fan of the Imperial Cult. I like the Imperial Cult. Obviously, I'm not a big fan of their beliefs. I'm not in favor of worshipping the Emperor in real life. But I do like the Imperial Cult as a faction. I've always loved the religiosity of the Imperium. And this could be because I grew up in Northern Ireland, which is a place that has been very affected by sectarian violence. So I have seen firsthand the power that religion mixed with nationalism and with ethnicity almost, and with politics, it's such a powerful force to motivate people into doing things. So I've always been a big fan of very religiously sort of inspired characters that are sinister. I've always been a big fan of that because I've just witnessed a lot of it in my life. So I'm kind of liking the 5 of Lorgar. He's got a bit of a, it sounds like he's got a bit of an evil preacher sort of vibe to him. And I like those in fiction. I like that trope. Guilliman and Von saves the hit. I like that. Yes, I love thinking about the game mechanics in these fictional sort of things. Wordbearer sounds a bit like Oathkeeper. Tollbox says he also reminds me of a Priest of Sigmar. He does. He's got a very big Priest of Sigmar vibe. Yeah, with the armor and the... Yeah, he really does, doesn't he? You exchange... I mean, even the mace, right? Obviously, that's like a circular mace. You'd expect like a square one. Let's see. Braxonian says he's also really upset at the Imperial cult, mostly because it kind of invalidates his reasons for betraying the Imperium. Guys, I'm liking this dude. I'm liking this dude. And I tell you what, he looks like a villain. He looks like a bad guy. He's standing there. He's like, once it's kind of similar to the Horus thing with Lex Luthor kind of vibe. He's like, yes, it was I that did the villainous plot, and now you can't stop me. Daniel says, S tier for spanking Robotman. Timothy says he spent the last 10,000 years hiding from Corvus Corax. Callum says he's almost the chaplain prototype. I dig it, guys. I'm thinking this guy gets S tier. What do we think about that? I'm thinking S tier. And I know that the model isn't the most exciting in the world, but I love the storytelling of it. I love the sense of place. I love the fact that I can tell so much about this character from just the base. I think that's really interesting. And I like the understated armor that's been inscribed with all these sort of images, these graven images. And I love that huge mace. I think it's a powerful model. A loser bad guy, says Norman Potato. A loser bad guy. Hunkler says he founded the Imperial cult. Daniel says Lorgar is a total villain. I like my villains. I always love to play the bad guys in really any game. And so, I mean, that's why I played Imperial Guard. But I love to play the bad guys. And so I gotta say, I've got a soft spot for Lorgan. That's a priest face too. Lorgar. Heck yeah, big win for the heretics. You gotta win some, guys. You gotta win some. I mean, you don't win often. Let's be honest. Shots fired. Shots fired. Raphael saying Lorgar aren't S. Is the world ending? Hey, I'm just going by what chat's telling me here. And Lorgar sounds really interesting as a character. He sounds like he's a big mover and shaker, and I like characters that do moving and shaking and wiggling. I like that. I like it when they impact the story. I'm a fan of characters with agency, or who I like manipulative characters as well. So I like Lorgar. S for superstition. Exactly. 10,000 years in prayer and reflection. He's still in his temple. So Lorgar is still around then. So he's still about. Oh, interesting. Okay, who we got next? There's a lot of Primarchs. Okay. Where's Mortarion? Because I think that we've done this guy. Hop him to the Mac. Who's left? Erebus. Okay, so this is Mortarion. This looks like the non-demon version of him. I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to tell. The Primarch wiggle. S for smash. So I think this is Mortarion. So let's go to Mortarion. Okay, where are you, Mortarion? Let's find, there you go. Right. So there's a lot going on with this model. There is a lot going on with this model. Okay, so Lorgar, you're gone. Lionel, you're gone. Fulgrim, you're gone. Okay, let's see. Whew, what do we think of this guy, chat? What do we think of Mortarion? Smelly Morty. What do you think of this guy? I mean, I think first off, you have to acknowledge the scythe. I don't think you cannot acknowledge the scythe. I think you walk into your room and this guy's standing there. I think the first thing you say is, that's a huge fucking scythe. Whoa, what's going on over here? I like the fact that he's in a sewer plant, in a sewage facility of some kind. That's what the pipe says to me, that he's hanging about. Some sort of waste facility. Yeah, so he's the Captain Planet villain. S tier for my favorite stinky voice, says Curtis. The Mr. Grim Reaper wannabe himself, says Freya. Yeah, that's... Okay, yeah, so... Firstly, his face is kind of screwed up, but I'm getting the vibe that might be kind of appropriate. That actually might be appropriate for this character for his face to be a little bit screwed up. Am I right or am I wrong? Don't fear the Reaper, he smells, says Luke McDonaldson. Jubilator says, I'm sort of missing his face mask / rebreather on him. Face masks / rebreathers do make models look very cool. Suri armor. That is a very impractical weapon. That is a very impractical weapon. Because, I mean, if you think about the scythe, right? Like, you're going to be cutting with it. So, what's going on with this edge here? It's going to have to, it is a very impractical weapon. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm like, what? Is that a chain bit there? The sort of, I gotta say, the photos on Forge World are very low quality. It's a bit of a problem, honestly. Imagine being a guy who hates psychers and then you become a demon prince, says Norman Potato. Yeah, I guess that would be a bit of a bummer. Jack Gonzalez says, like all the grime on him. Okay, so I love Blanchitsu as a painting style, where you just take loads of null oil, loads of rust, and you just throw it over everything. Everything's dark and messy and dirty, and it's really good because it covers up bad paint jobs, and I give nothing but bad paint jobs. And I really like that. And Mortarion is feeling like, basically, he is the Blanchitsu model, where you just go for it and you just throw null oil at the end and, you know, mud and dirt and grime everywhere, all over it. So what's going on with his backpack here? It looks like he kind of is gonna spew out something nasty out the back of it. Hay says, I think it's a chainsaw blade. Yeah, I think so too. Okay, so apparently he needs a rebreather. It's what I'm getting. This is the vibe I'm getting here. Witch Image says, I think it's canon that Mortarion is the least attractive of the Primarchs, so for once I can't complain about the face. Yes, that's probably fair. The Nurgle guys, I mean, they often get tough. They often get a tough place. Yeah, okay, so Witch Image says the texture on the cape. The cape looks lovely. I am afraid of this cape. Whoever painted this, I am afraid of them. Because, how the hell do you do that? How do you paint that white and then dirty it up like that? It's so well done. It's very, very realistic looking. It looks really cool. Braxtonian says he's also got a severe breathing issues from his childhood, so he has to have a face mask all the time. Yeah, so that's kind of weird then. What? I wonder if he has the option for the face mask. He's wearing a hood. Oh, okay, that's a hood. Huh. I think the paint job sort of covered that a little bit. So that's a bit weird. The model isn't really giving me the face mask. He doesn't have a rebreather there. I love your haircut, says Savage. Thank you very much. Jeffrey says, wow, this model's so bad. The hand part of the scythe isn't attached. Oh, no. Yeah, I think I sort of see what you mean. It's kind of attached. Let's have a look. Drag to spin. This is so awkward. Okay, so we're spinny boys now. Woo! Okay, so let's see. So we've got I'm trying to get, it's kind of like on Google Maps when you're trying to see into someone's garden or something and you just can't get to the right spot. It's just spinning around whenever I move slightly. So I can't quite see if it's attached well, but I have to imagine it's attached. I have to imagine that it's attached. Look, here's the thing about this model. I think the paint job is really good. I think that the white with the grime, I think the grime's been done perfectly. I think the model itself, though, I'm not a fan of the scythe. I think it works from a thematic perspective, but I don't like the design of it. I think I would have preferred, honestly, it not to be like a chainsword scythe and just a straight scythe with a lot of grime and dirt on it. Honestly, I think it's been a little bit over-designed. I think that the scythe could have just been a scythe, and I think it would look cooler. I like those, oh god, what do you call them? They're used in like religious ceremonies. They're like swung from side to side. I think in funerals, like the urns or whatever. They keep like the incense and the frankincense and stuff in them. Sponge dabbing, maybe on the cape says called, or it could be. I don't know how to do it. I don't have. This is pre-heresy Mortarion, says Frasier. Elise Bench says it does look like moldy bread. Oh goodness. Incense baubles. Yeah, incense baubles. That's it. Yeah. They look really cool. I quite like those. And like Lorgar, I'm a big fan of the base. I like that. I mean, this is a very unflattering base. It's not exactly the most sort of epic base. You know, he's not fighting on a lava pit or something like that. He's just in a sewer or something. It looks like that. And I like that. I like that about it. It's thematic to the character, right? Because he's Death Guard, isn't he? I mean, I have to imagine he's Death Guard. Yeah, he's Death Guard. But, I don't know. I think he's sort of middling. So I think I'm going to put him down at C, personally. What do you guys think of that? What do you think of C? Censor. Yeah, Kibax. Okay, so I was trying to get the hand, but whenever I scroll very slightly, it either swings me too far forward or too far back. I can't move it to the extent, because it's a series of pictures. So there is no picture where it's perfect, where you can see the hand attached. Mewletter says the base is very suitable to him. Yes, I agree. The base is very, very suitable to him. So I do like the base. I think we're gonna go with C for him though, guys. C is about right. D for dirty. Yeah, I kind of feel a bit weird there's no D's. I kind of feel like we're gonna have to get a D. Get some of that D, guys. I think we're gonna need one. And then this is Mortarion, and here you can see in that picture he has the rebreather. And then this is just Alpharius again, isn't it? That's just Alpharius again. Am I right? Am I wrong? C for cesspool. Okay, I love that one. C. Isaac says, given your stance on the unethical pricing strategy of Games Workshop, what is your opinion on pirating Games Workshop IP? Codex info, audiobooks, like for 3D printing models. Love the videos and new haircut. So that's actually a really interesting point. So one of the main... So I did my video recently on the Primarch costs, and I was basically arguing that they are far too expensive, and that it's going to put off people from getting into Horus Heresy, because they're going to be very interested in the setting. If there are people who are interested in the setting, they're going to want to buy the Primarchs. And the Primarchs are ridiculously overpriced for what they are. And so, my concern is that it's going to put people off. But one of the comments, I got a lot of comments that said this, was that basically, well, this course, everybody knows that you just buy the recast of the Primarchs. Nobody buys the Primarchs, they buy the recasts. As if this is some argument against my point, right? I mean, I think the fact that everybody is buying recasts of these models is indicative of the fact that the price of them is far too high, is much too high. If people aren't buying them, then it's beyond what the market can bear, right? Am I wrong about that? So in terms of how do I feel about the GWIP sort of being pirated and things like that, I'll say this much. I don't believe I have ever seen any evidence that piracy has hurt a company or a brand. I've never seen any evidence. It's never been presented to me that any evidence that it has hurt a brand or a company. As far as I'm aware, piracy is either neutral, as in it doesn't impact the company, because the people who pirate something were never going to pay the money for that thing. You know, if it's like a DVD or whatever, they were never going to pay for that, or they were never going to pay that price. And so you've always lost that seal. All that's happened is that the person who's pirated now has access to it. Or it's not neutral and it actually helps the company, because what happens is that people pirate your good, and it helps. It's almost like advertising. It helps expose your brand to more people than otherwise would be exposed to it. Because, for example, take this scenario. I want to start a Necromunda campaign, but I can't afford the books, okay? Because there's like 4 books. I don't know which one to get. I'm not sure. And then I have a group of like 5 people who want to play Necromunda, but no one can buy the books. So we don't get into Necromunda. But I find out that there's a community edition of the Necromunda rulebooks that has all the rules. Hey, I use that. It's free. I haven't paid any money to Games Workshop. But maybe I'll buy some models. And maybe those other 5 people will now play in a campaign. And maybe when we're playing in a campaign, we're having a lot of fun. Maybe I post about it on Facebook. Or maybe I play down at the club. And now more people are finding out about Necromunda. They're seeing the gameplay. Now, at no stage has Games Workshop ever gotten money from me for that codex. And maybe they didn't even get money for my models. Because maybe I bought my models off, maybe I 3D printed my models. Or I bought them from a different supplier. So Games Workshop never got any money from me, but people will see the game and people will hear more about the game. Maybe I'll comment on Reddit or on a forum or something and it'll get someone interested in the game because I explain a battle report, right? And having that exposure throughout society, I mean, it gets threaded throughout. It might be better for a company for people to have some of your stuff for free because it might get people who will pay into the game. Games Workshop have a unique problem where they simply don't have a great price point to get into the game. They just don't have a great price point. They're too expensive. So people will not be paying what they expect. The best way to stop people from pirating or from recasting is to make your models or your video games or your DVDs or anything affordable and available. That's the two main things. Easy to buy and affordable. So that most people can buy them. If that happens, then most people will actually buy your stuff legitimately. They will buy your stuff legitimately. The best thing to have ever happened to, for example, the music industry, for the longest time, they were worried about piracy. And they constantly kept trying to shut down torrent sites and streaming sites and things like that because they were really worried about music being pirated. What happened? Well, streaming services came out like Spotify so that people could affordably get music. And piracy of music is dead now. No one pirates music. Everyone just goes on YouTube to listen, or like they have Spotify to listen to it. And they pay money to those producers. Sadly, not a lot of money gets to the artists, but they pay money to the Spotify services and things like that. You have to think about smart ways to monetize your products. You can't expect people just to pay absurd amounts of money. Sorry. So I know I didn't really quite answer your question. I personally do not have an ethical issue with recasting or with piracy. I personally don't have any ethical problems with it at all because it has never been explained to me why it is bad. I haven't found a compelling argument as to why it's bad for the industry, personally speaking. So that's my opinion on that. Sorry, I have a I talk about this a lot. Let's see here. So let me catch up. So where do we go? Let's see. So, it's Perturabo next. Okay, is this a guy? Is this someone here? Have we not done him already? This guy here. He's got 2 lasers on his Terminator armor. Oh my goodness. Kidfather says, Games Workshop actually did that with Age of Sigmar for a while, where you could get basic rules and basic unit rules for free. Now you can't. So I think they might still include the War Scrolls, which is like the data slate or the stats of the models inside the boxes with them, but they don't give you access to any of the special army rules. And that's like kind of vital to be able to play your army. Like you cannot play your army without the special army rules. Like you can't buy, for example, Shadow Throne. For example, say you buy the Shadow Throne box and it comes with Custodians and it comes with Gene Stealer cults. I know I'm talking about 40k now, but bear with me. You can't buy that. It may come with all the stats of all the models inside that box, but you don't know what the Custody special rules are, and you don't know what the Gene Stealer cult special rules are, so you can't really play those armies properly. They're not balanced for that. And the same thing is basically the same for Age of Sigmar. Every single box of models comes with the stats, as far as I'm aware. But you don't get access to any of the army special rules, so it's basically worthless. And I think they give you the basic rules online, but they don't give you the full rules, and they don't give you the army rules. So it kind of like, what's the point, you know? I think that Age of Sigmar was at its best when it was giving everything for free. When it was giving away the rules, when you were able to go onto the app and find everything. And they have started hiding that now behind codices, and it's really frustrating. Because Age of Sigmar was super accessible, and loads of people could play it. Let's see here. Tomati says, as a musician, I'm not excited about Spotify's pay scheme towards artists. I've heard some really, really bad stories about Spotify from artists. I've heard that it's not great for the industry. To be honest, I've never had a problem with piracy of music because most money in the music industry goes towards production. It goes towards the record labels. And so, like, why do I care about the record labels getting loads of money? I don't really care about that. They're just gatekeepers to music. I like spending my money at live shows. I like going to concerts. I like giving my money. That is the best way, I think, to support an artist. is to try and to watch them live. I think that's the best way personally, but I'm not like super, I don't really know a lot about the music industry, so I could be kind of just wrong about that. Let's see here. Honko says Iron Warriors. Norman Potato, oh god, the Iron Warriors and their skin thing. Oh no, not the skin thing. Okay, so right, we're gonna go check out a new Primarch now. Let's see. Okay, so we're looking for the head of the Iron Warriors, right? Let's see. Rogal, no, not Rogal Dorn, the Imperial Fist, the Valrak Legion, huh? Okay, here we go. Perturabo. I gotta be honest, guys, I've heard of this guy, and I don't like his name. Perturabo is a really weird name to me. It's a very weird name. Big Dave says, Perturabo, baby, the Siege Master. Right, okay, so the Iron Warriors are the siege guys, right? These are the guys that love to pummel sort of cities to the ground. That's correct? Because I remember reading about these guys like years ago and thinking that they were really badass. This is whenever I was going through my Space Marine phase. Perturbo seems like the cringiest name at first because you assume that it's based on perturbed, but it's actually from the Latin I endure, which shit, that's pretty badass, says Keg, look. Okay, I'm getting a little, okay, that's convinced me a little bit more, okay? Braxonian says, Perturbo's also a little bit of a giant entitled person who will volunteer for the worst jobs, then get upset when people don't praise him enough over it. That just sounds like me. Hey, come on, guys, you're really tough, come on. Turbo Man, baby, says modeling for advantage. Sure thing, Kaiser. I mean, the little lasers on his armor, it's kind of dumb. Like, I'm not gonna lie, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think that's kind of cool, actually. It looks so stupid. I'm sorry, but having like two little lasers like above your head like that. It reminds me of like I'm constantly, all these guys are like bald, angry men. I'm just constantly getting Lex Luthor vibes from them all. Let's see. Braxonia says they hate the Imperial Fists. Well, who doesn't? That shade of yellow? Oh, God. Last Melon says GW loses bucks to make pennies. They could make more money by charging less and not witch hunting their community, but I think it's just the bigwigs don't like to get business. They just understand the short term. Well, it's sort of like any public company is sort of incentivized to follow the short term. I know that they're all sort of, legally speaking, meant to follow the long term, but ultimately, if you're a CEO and you're thinking to yourself, okay, there's this really good long-term plan. I can do this thing now. It will lose us money now, but it will lead to awesome growth in the long term. Your shareholder, I mean, you are responsible to your shareholders. So if they disagree with you on that and they say, no, actually, we think that's gonna suck and that's gonna lose us money like right now, and I don't care about 5 years later, then too bad, you know? Like you have a responsibility to your shareholders to try and maximize your profit for them. So it's kind of a bummer, to be honest. It's kind of a bummer. Okay, so we're out of water. We're going on to the Coca-Cola now. Get that energy going. Let's see. 2 out of 10 says Mike Genny. Too many head wires. Yeah, there's a lot going on. So let's see. So from what I understand about him, he's got like a strange name, but that could be kind of cool if it was in Latin. It's I endure. He's got like little lasers on his head. He has some cool guns. I like the guns on his wrist. He's got that sort of dead shot kind of wrist guns. I'm a big fan of that. Iron within, iron without, says Jordan. Jack says they don't love the siege, but got stuck with during siege duty, so they just got really good at it and very angry about it. Okay. So they don't like sieging. They just do it a lot. Okay. All right. I can stick with that. I can dig that. The angry man-child. He does look very angry. So let's look at the actual model. So it looks like he's standing atop a downed Titan, which is kind of cool. Or not a Titan, a knight. It looks like he's standing atop an Imperial Knight. Am I wrong there? Am I wrong? I thought the Imperial Knights were a little bit later. Let's see. Quad link autocannons. I'm a big fan of the autocannon. I think it's, as a weapon, it doesn't get enough love, personally. I don't think it gets enough love. I like the belt. Okay, so I like this. I like the back of him here. The little vents. on his backpack. And then you've got the bullets, you know? The bullets look a little bit weird, though. But yeah. B for bitter, says DigiDevolution. TH says, with the squats and plastic beakies, it seems like they may be shifting back to be targeting the greybeards. Yeah, I have seen... It does feel a bit like they're going for some of that nostalgia bit, doesn't it? Now, I was thinking the other day that there's a lot of... I have to imagine that there might be a lot of people in the design team of Games Workshop now who have grown up on Games Workshop stuff, right? Like, we're at the stage now where people who have sort of grown up or kind of on Games Workshop materials are into the game. So if you imagine that it always takes like 3 or 4 years for Games Workshop to go from just like, let's do this thing to the thing is done, squats must have been in the pipeline for a while now. And so, I mean, if it was like 4 years ago that someone was voicing squats, I think that might have been someone who was influenced by the memes who kind of missed squats. I have to imagine that that's the case. But yeah, so I think this model's kind of cool. I think he's kind of cool. He's got like a Terminator armor. Terminator armor to me, I think I said this with Horus, he's always looked a little bit weird. I do love this. I love the hazard stripes. I mean, as someone as a fan of Necromunda, I have to love the hazard stripes, right? I'm not a fan of the hammer. It's kind of a weird one. It's the same, oh god, as the other guy. What was his name? He had the hammer before. I like the pose though. I like the pose with the guns. I do like that. The traitor head wires. What do you guys think? What does chat think? I can't decide with this one. I think he might be in D though. I think he might be in D. What do you guys think of that? I don't know. He looks okay. The head wires is kind of neat. He's definitely got a little bit of personality, but he looks very bulky. I do like the spent shell casings though. Black Arrow Longbow says, first thing I painted was a squat, showing my age. That is showing your age, yeah. Yeah, Ferrus Manus had the wee hammer, didn't he? Keybox says, the facial expression is really cool. Yeah, okay. The face is a lot better than many of the other faces. I think the face is a lot better than many of the other faces because he has a little bit of emotion, a little bit of personality going on there. The hammer can be swapped out. Does it show you the different options? What can you swap it out with? I don't see any other pictures showing off. Oh, okay. So you can have it just with the hand. I don't think I like that much either, to be honest. Meta Anafinum says, feels like so much what Games Workshop does with 40k right now is just trying to cash in on people's nostalgia on 1D4chan memes without really developing the lore or making the game interesting on its own merits. I don't know. Feels like what Games Workshop does with 40k right now is just trying to cash in on people's nostalgia. On 1D4chan. Maybe. I feel like the 1D4chan nostalgia is sort of... Is that built around the idea of the setting moving forward? Because I never really quite got that vibe. Letter says C tier. I think you're right. I think you're right. I think C tier is more appropriate. Because I like the little lasers are super dumb, but I kind of like them, and I like the guns on his wrist. I like the auto cannons there. They look pretty badass. Honestly, I just want someone to be in D because it's like it's empty. It feels kind of I don't like that. I don't like there's so many people in S either. I feel like S should probably be like super special, but there we are. I mean, you know, body proportion is weird. Yeah, I started when squats on hoverboards. Says Andy Wilson. Yeah, so Norman Potato says D is so empty though, and I totally agree. We have a couple more. So we've got Vulkan. Have we done this guy yet? Is this guy? He looks like I'm not gonna lie. He looks like a mech, like a transformer or something with that helmet. So Witcher says, at least the hammer can be replaced by more guns because DACA. Yeah, that's true. The Trader Guardsman says, I started playing in 2nd edition, but collecting since 1988. Feeling old. Wow, yeah. I mean, I feel old a lot of the times, and I started playing in 2004, 2005. So yeah, I can imagine 1988. Jeez. I think I'm catching up a little bit though. So who's this guy? What's going on here? Is the I don't recognize Rogal Dorn. Rogal Dorn. Okay. Let's check him out. Let's find him. I think we're almost done though with these guys, right? I think we're almost done. We've almost created the definitive list of Primarchs, which is good and which is bad. Okay. He's got armor that's very reminiscent of the Custodes. But it says, fair enough, I just get the vibe that more of the stuff is written to fit in with the reputation that's developed from memes rather than actually doing original stuff. Yeah, I get what you mean. I think that, honestly, the whole Guilliman thing, I didn't see it coming, personally. Like, I did not see the whole Guilliman stuff coming at all. That really surprised me, and I feel like we're still feeling the repercussions of that decision to bring... I feel like that was like a major change in how 40k is conceived of. Now that they're moving the setting forward, that was something I never really expected them to do. Outside of like saying, oh, there's another Chaos Crusade attacking Cadia. Like, actually having Cadia get blown up was a massive surprise to me. Especially as someone who had lots of Cadian troopers. It was a massive, massive surprise to me. D for Dorn. Yeah, there we go. There's our D. Kenton with the $5 donation says, have you ever considered doing a video on how to play on the go? Like for traveling or deploying and still having a way to play Warhammer? Oh, you know what, Kenton? I haven't actually. I haven't. And I'll tell you why. So the main reason is I have never taken my armies anywhere outside of like a club that's very nearby me. I play mostly like statically. And it's kind of funny because I have magnetized all of my models. I magnetized them all. Basically because so that I can keep them safe on a magna rack that is mobile. So I've built my models. I have magnets on their bases so that I can transport them easily, and I've never had to transport them. I don't know why. I've spent hours and hours of my life putting magnets on these bases for seemingly no reason. Admittedly, it's pretty handy for going to the club, but like, come on, it's so much effort. So so I haven't thought about doing a video like that because honestly, I don't think I would have great advice for bringing your models on the go outside of maybe use magna racks. But magna racks are such an expensive option. Like, they're so expensive. Like, I don't think I could in good faith recommend that people buy magna racks. I think they'd be better off buying sheet metal and just using that in boxes. But thank you so much for the donation. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. That's really lovely. And thank you for the question. So apologies, no, I haven't, not for traveling to points, still having a way to play Warhammer. I mean, I suppose maybe the question of how to, if you're traveling and you can't bring, like, you're looking more about trying to find games in foreign places, which is interesting, I think. I think it's a lot easier now these days because you can just join like a Discord server or like a Facebook group. I think you can look online and find clubs in any area these days, really. I think it's gotten a lot easier. Okay, so let's catch up a little bit on chat. So we're looking at Rogal Dorn. And he's got that golden armor going on. He's got that golden armor, which is pretty cool. So let's see. He's the defender of the palace. The Imperial Fists Legion. So I think he's saved a little bit by not being bright yellow like the other Imperial Fists. He's missing his bushy mustache. Oh my god. The face is kind of weird. It looks like he's got this pained expression. I don't know what's going on. Neil Compton says, the face strikes again. Bang a helmet on him. Hunkler, that armor is awesome. I think the armor is very iconic 40k. It is, right? It's very, very iconic 40k. And the cloak is pretty cool. I don't mind the pose. It's kind of like Lorgar, right? Where I like the sort of static image. And there you go. You've got your little Imperial Fist Space Marine beside him. And it looks so pathetic beside this guy. It's like, don't worry, boss. I got your back. Yeah. He literally looks like a toy. Beside this model. I find that very funny. Let's see here. Daniel says, does Dorn's armor really have sockets for spirit stones on his shins? Have we found our OG Eldar sympathizer? Guilliman wants to know. Yeah, it kind of looks a bit like that, doesn't it? And again, a bunch of dead Night Lords. Do Night Lords just get smacked around a lot or something? Is that how this goes on? Like, because there's more dead Night Lords here. Just looking at the... So the details are pretty crisp. The details are pretty nice. I bet there's plenty of cleanup that would be required on this resin. I bet. Okay, let's see. So what do we think about Rogal Dorn? I don't think I'm as drawn to him as Lorgar. I think that's like purely personal because I sort of like religious villains. I think Lorgar got like maybe a bit of a bump that he probably shouldn't have. I think that will be probably seen as a bit of an upset. Rogal Dorn doesn't get the benefit from that really. So what's he up to? A colossal chainblade. It is a big chainblade. Mike Greeny says normalize cardboard standees for travel play. I could be in favor of that. 100%. I think standees are fine. Josie says second edition cardboard dreadnought was peak Warhammer 40k. 100%. Yes. So here's the thing. I really like non-metallic metallic. Frasier says she dislikes this non-metallic metal painting color scheme. I like non-metallic metallic, but the thing about that is metallics are like magic. When you paint a model in metallic, I don't know about everybody else, but like to me, that's magic. That looks like magic. I love it. I absolutely adore it. Norman Potato says, dang it, those base smurfs. D for Dorn. Hi-O's World says, his face looks like an adult from Beavis and Butthead. That's incredible. Last man says, C for construction work. He builds walls. What, is that it? Is that like his thing? Like did he build like the Imperial Palace or something? Like, come on. I don't know if I could justify like a very high mode for this guy. The thing is, the base, I know that there's some dead Night Lords, but I don't think that really tells me much about the character. You know, maybe if you had like a little half-built wall beside him, you'd be like, okay, he's a bricky. Okay, he's a bricklayer. Sure, okay. But he doesn't really have that going on. There's no real story to this base. Lorgar, I think, had a very specific base that gave me an idea of who he was. This, I get nothing from this. He built the palace, says Elise. See, even these steps don't even look like the steps of the palace at all. They don't look ornate enough. You know? Like, Horus looked like he was on the staircase somewhere. Like maybe in the Imperial Palace or something. But like this doesn't really look like that. Jeff says, finally caught one of those Smasher Pass videos. I mean, I can run through them if you want. This would be a total pass. Total pass. Look at him, he's too square. He's got like a normie haircut. I'm only joking. The golden armor is a bit of a selling point though. Okay, I'm not a big fan, and I kind of feel like we need a D. So what do you guys think of that? Where is he? See, if he hadn't been wearing that helmet, it looks kind of cool. What do you guys think of D? He was defending the home system solo for years, says Neil Compton. That's kind of neat. He was tasked with defending the palace, so he fortified it. I mean, building the Imperial Palace is a bit of a feat, but it's not a very active feat. Like, I get it. I get that building the palace is kind of neat. And I have to imagine that the sort of custodes, he's got a very custodian-style armor. Rogal sure got the D, says Norman Potato. Okay, I'm gonna put him in D. Yeah. Dorn would be pretty happy with a low ranking, says Mike Guinea. Is that a thing of his? Is that what he's up? Does he accepts the lowest of the low? Alright, guys. Next up, we got Vulkan. Right? Isn't that his name, Vulkan? Let's see here. Okay. I know this guy. Let's find him. Yes, there we go. The Salamanders. So from what I understand, the Salamanders are green. And I always thought that it was because salamanders were lizards. So tell me, what's going on with Vulkan? Who's this guy? Who's Vulkan? S for super nice. Is Vulkan super nice? So one of the first thing I'm sort of noticing here is it one of his buddies dead on the base? So he's standing amongst the corpses of his own. And who's this? Is that a death guard? It looks like. Vulkan is a perpetual. Are you guys for real? Vulkan is a perpetual. Please tell me that's not true. Can a Primarch be a perpetual? Yeah, what is Vulkan looking at? He's kind of looking off screen at something. I like the shoulder pad. Look at that. It's like a dinosaur bone or something, like a dragon's head. Is it a giant lizard? Like a giant salamander? Oh, Jublater. Says he's a perpetual. Oh no. T-Hit says he also built lots of doomsday machines. I'm a fan of that. I'm a fan of doomsday machines. Like I'm a fan of general villainy. So doomsday machines are good. But from what I understand, Vulkan's kind of a nice guy, right? Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, I'm gonna have to be real with you guys. I do not like perpetuals. Not a fan of perpetuals. I feel like it. So okay, here's my feeling on the Emperor. Either the Emperor. So what Games Workshop should have done. Okay, this is just me ranting on a cloud now. What Games Workshop should have done was either two things. Either the Emperor should have been a nobody. He should have been like some random dude who was like some genetic scientist in the 30th century, the 30th millennium rather, who had invented super soldiers, and that all went to his head. He thought he was like way better than he was, and that he basically was crowned the Emperor of Mankind post hoc. You know, a religion started up and he kind of became this emperor and stuff like that. But he was just some guy. He was a scientist or something, you know? We moved on from this time of technological superiority and everything's regressed. And the Horus heresy should have been this thing shrouded in myth. I did a video on this in my hot takes. It should have been like that. Or the emperor should have been unique and special. He should have been one of the only people who was who he was. I think the idea of bringing perpetuals into it kind of diminishes the emperor somewhat, because it makes it like, well, who are these guys? Like, who are these guys who've been around forever? Mike Guri says, Discourse hates Wolverine. Confirmed. I don't mind Wolverine. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Wolverine in the world. I do like the X-Men, but Wolverine isn't like my favorite character or anything. I think Magneto is my favorite character in the X-Men. Lacquer Gravitas says he has a doomsday machine to turn off the Golden Throne. He does? Gee, somebody should stop him. Somebody should stop that guy. Mike Guinea says, I don't know, he came back from literally being completely disintegrated in the lore. Jacob says, deeply cares about regular humans. He is a perpetual master artisan with crazy weapons and artifacts. Okay, let's see if that's reflected then. Let's see if that's reflected. So I like his little hammer. I do like his little hammer. It kind of reminds me of like the type of war hammers that orcs use in World of Warcraft. And I like the flames. That's pretty badass. I've always liked that about the Salmon. I like the flame sort of colors there. And the armor looks okay. I'm not a fan of the skin cloak. I think it's just a personal thing. I think I could see why it could be kind of cool, but I don't think it works for him. Yeah, I just don't like it. It just kind of looks a bit weird. Which Image says, I don't like perpetuals either. It's basically glorified plot armor. I can't get over the changes to Alanius Pius. I just can't get over it. So, Satisfaction says Vulkan is the only one who cares about innocent human populations when fighting. Which, I mean, I suppose it's interesting to have a character like that. Because so much of the Primarchs, I haven't read the books, but so much of the Primarchs struck me as very sort of, can I say the word masturbatory? Am I allowed to say that? It's all very parochial. Okay, maybe that's a better word. It's all very parochial. It's all very inward looking. It's like this drama between all of the different Primarchs. Kind of like, oh, he said this, and oh, he said that, and oh, I've heard chaos. It's nice to hear that there's a guy who's like, you know, guys, if we go to war, you know, all this conflict is actually impacting people's real lives. It's kind of nice that there's someone looking out for the little guy there, you know? It's kind of like in Game of Thrones, right? Like, who cares who sits upon the Iron Throne? The small folk don't care about that stuff. They just want the crops to come in. They want potatoes. They want milk. They want food. They don't want to pay too much in taxes, you know? Vulkan's like, what's going on? Magnus says, it feels weird saying the cloak is pretty painted because on a technical level it's fine, but I don't think those color choices are good. I agree. I don't like the sort of brown smudge vibe that's going on. Everything's very brown in this, and it just means that the model as itself doesn't really pop, and the green is there's too much of a dark hue on the green to make it really shine. Let's see here. So my headcanon is that Vulkan's currently yelling, the power of the bomb compels you. Frasier says that Doomsday device is only used in the direst of emergency when chaos or anything else is about to completely destroy Terra. Okay, so he's kind of in favor of it, right? He's like in favor of the Emperor then. He doesn't want to ever blow stuff up. Chalcedon says Sister of Silence can see the Emperor's true form. There was a nice description of this in one of the books. Interesting. I know a little bit about the Sisters of Silence just from what I've read of the Custodes Codex, but I don't have a super amount of knowledge. So I like the fact that he is looking after the little guy, but I think the model is kind of okay, and he's in a really weird pose. It's like I feel like he should be hitting someone who's standing right here, right? Like, I feel like the pose is such that he's going to smash this guy, but there's no one here. There's no one standing here, so he's just going to swing at nothing. That or there's like a bunch of dudes off screen, and he's like kind of holding up being like, you don't get to go further, I'll bunk you. So, I mean, I guess that could sort of be it. But, I think Rogal is going to get a C. I think Rogal's on C, for me personally. What do you guys think? Fire Lizard Wrestler, says the Trader Guardsman. Yes, that's exactly it. Let's see here. What do you guys think of? Maybe he's smacking a ghost, says one Ulrim one. Yes. I actually love that idea, yeah. Now, if I was told canonically that was the case, he was smashing a ghost, I would be super in favor of it. Norman Patu says, I like the green, I like friendly people, so Vulkan is at least an A for me. Okay, fair enough. I think the fact that he kind of worries about the normies, the normal human beings in the Imperium, kind of bumps him up from a D for me personally. I think that, like, perpetuals are trash, so that would immediately put him in F. And then I don't really like the pose. I think the color doesn't really work for him, so that would put him in D maybe, you know. And I think that the fact is that he likes the innocence, and that he kind of provides a bit of a relief valve from the other guys. I think C. Jump says a C for slightly crazy. Let's see here. Hunkler says, in effect, it was a Halo ring wipe, the Imperium out to save greater life. Okay, I think have we done it? Have we got everyone? I think we've done it, guys. Lorgar, Vulkan, Horus, Magnus the Red, Roboute, Guilliman, Mortarion, Angron, Ferrus, Konrad, Sanguinius, Rogal, Dorn, Leman, Russ, Perturabo, Fulgrim, Lionel Johnson, Jaghatai Khan. We've done it, guys. Inquisitor Vex says Vulkan is a good egg. He deserves at least B tier. But he's a perpetual. I'm gonna be petulant. I'm gonna take this one. I'm gonna take this one. He's going into C. He's going into C. It's done. It is done. Yeah. 2 are missing. Yeah. I'm going to put the 2 that are missing in D so that it kind of fills that up a little bit more. So, this is it, guys. This is where we have. Alpharius is S tier. Jaghatai Khan is S tier. There's too many S tiers, I think. What do you guys think? I think there's too many S tiers. I like Jaghatai Khan, but maybe we drop him. Maybe we drop him down to A. Do we drop Jaghatai Khan down to A? And he likes the bikes, though. Ooh, this is a tough one. I feel like I've got too many up here. I think I need to start redressing some of this. Okay, let's think about it. I'm going to drop Mortarion down to D. I'm going to drop him down to D. I don't think he deserves the C position. I don't know if Leman Russ does either. That model is really bad. So I'm going to bring D down here too. I'm going to bring him down to D. We're going crazy here, guys. A for Alpharius. I kind of like Alpharius. I like the fact that he's so gnarly. That he's just everybody, like, he's such, the meme potential of him has really caught on. Move everyone down a tier, says Inquisitor Max. No Leman Russ. Yeah, I'm thinking Leman Russ has to be D tier, guys. I don't know. Put Konrad in F, maybe. Do you think so? Move everything down one tier. Mortarion is so good in game, though. We're not talking about the gameplay. We're not talking about the gameplay. Joseph Scosari says, nice hanging out with you all for a bit. But the $20 donation. Thank you so much, Joseph. That's really lovely of you. That's so nice of you, Joseph. Thank you so much. It's so lovely. That's so nice. Thank you. Uletter says the lion is A. I don't know, though. I feel like the fact that he's called Lionel Johnson, it's just Lionel Johnson. It's such a normal name. I kind of love that. You know, everyone else has got this, like, epic name. You've got Perturabo. You have Mortarion. And then you've got, hey, my name's Lionel. Sorry, Lionel Johnson. They didn't even try. I love that. Okay, so we're getting Jose Naimi Kuller says, I think a lion should be demoted to A. I think he takes himself way too important. The model, though, is so good. I really like it. I know that it's a little bit static, but I really like the helmet. Lizzie Lai says, how the heck is Guilliman A tier? Dude, you gotta look out for your bureaucrats. You know, your bureaucrats. I think his power of Excel spreadsheets is pretty good. I think it's pretty good. I think this might be the definitive. I think this is the definitive thing, guys. Yes, no quarrel. Lorgar is indeed S tier. He is, and I'll broker no nothing further on this. Lorgar is excellent. I really like the sound of this guy. He sounds awesome. He sounds absolutely awesome. I mean, you guys were the ones who put me in charge of defining the ranking of all the Primarchs. Or was it you guys? Or was it someone else? Was it just me? I think that... Let's see here. I like this, guys. I think this is it. I think we found it. I think this is the tier. Here are your Primarchs. Here they are. Definitive list. Screenshot this. You know, whenever you are next thinking about is this guy who could beat who in a fight, just refer to this tier list. This is the definitive list. Admittedly, I've forgotten half their names. But this is it. Yes, rankings are set in stone, says Mike Geeney. Start the hardcover book printing presses immediately. No Coral says, what order will you be painting them in? Probably Sanguinius, because I did 3D print a version of Sanguinius. Nuller says, Lorgar is a good villain, admit it. Yes, 100%. So there we go, there's the Primarchs. So I did learn a lot about the Primarchs. They've all got a vibe to them. And I'll say this much. So whenever I used to always 100%, I was 100% on the side of they shouldn't have done much with the Horus Heresy. They should have just left it all to our imagination. I think I still kind of prefer that. But they've done a good job of giving all the Primarchs a personality. And I'll say this much. Like, the models are far too expensive for what they are. But they're nice models. Most of them. I mean, some of them are terrible. Looking down here at the F tier, for example. Like, some of those models are pretty poor. But I think that you could see that they were trying to make very dynamic models. And I think at the time when they were coming out, they did look a lot better than now. I think we're used to much better standards now. DMGM says Sanguinius is better than all. Maybe we should bring him down to B. Maybe just drop Sanguinius down a tier. He's a little bit... I mean, the model itself was pretty poor, and the vampire thing is kind of played out. This is what you've done, DM James. You've made me reconsider Sanguinius. You shouldn't have mentioned anything. He would have been on air a minute ago. Honkler says Erebus caused the heresy. James Reed says, just joined. Nice to see Corax at the bottom. Yes. Yeah, I mean, look, I think he's really let down by the model. And the thing is, he's got a really weird wings. I don't like the metal wings. He kind of reminds me of... This is such a deep cut. This is a real deep cut. But if anyone has ever seen Skeleton Warriors... with Skeleton Warriors, there was a character in that. Basically, the setting is villains get turned into skeleton warriors. They kind of die. And then this other group, the prince, get turned into like these good guys. And there was this one prince caught in the middle of this crystal that caused this. It shattered. And he was caught in the middle, so he could like move through shadows and stuff. Grimskull, I think his name was. He reminds me of that guy. He looks a lot like that. He's got like the emo thing going on. No Quarrel says, I like Corax, but it's not my ranking. Well, it is now. It is now, No Quarrel. This is the definitive ranking. This is the objective. Objectively speaking, this is the ranking. 1 year old says, Discord out here dropping Sanguinius like Horus did. Oh, yeah. Frasier says, this whole tier list is rigged. Of course it is. I was put in charge of it. I was put in charge. This is it. Yeah, so it turns out there's a lot more. So the thing is about the Primarchs is you don't think there's that many until you start trying to rank them on stream, and then you're like, wow, there's a lot more Primarchs than I remember. Imagine trying to collect them all, though. What, they're like ranging from $115 to $152. Imagine you were like, I'm a big fan of the Primarchs. I'm gonna collect all the Primarchs. Imagine you're that guy. Wow. That's a real bummer, dude. Like, I feel like Games Workshop are really missing a trick here. Why do they not sell like a bundle with all of them for a reasonable price? Like, I just don't understand this. I don't understand why they make these models so pricey like this and just don't want people actively to buy them. I just don't get it. I mean, I suppose the Guilliman now is in plastic if you buy the 40k version of him, I guess. But I feel like they should do that for all of them. They should just bring them out in hard plastic and maybe, you know, sell them at a reasonable price. The problem is, the worst part of Games Workshop is, even if they were to like redo the models and sell them in plastic, they're just going to be really expensive anyway, because it's Games Workshop. It's just a real bummer. I wish they would just make stuff cheaper. DMGM says, I got the Angel for Christmas. Yeah, see, I was originally going to buy Sanguinius as a gift, and then I looked up the price and was like, yeah, no, I'm not purchasing that as a gift. And Josie says, I just like Corvus murdering his way through the word bearers and eviscerated Lorgar at the Dropside Massacre. Wait, hold on one sec. So people were telling me earlier that Lorgar is like still hanging out in his church praying. Does he get killed or not? What happened to Lorgar? My Guinea, GW, why do they not blank for a reasonable price? The age-old question. Yeah, I know. So a lot of these, I mean, you'd think I'd be used to it by now. Kind of I get frustrated a lot because there's a lot of people in this hobby who just seem to accept the high prices and just go, well, you know, it's kind of how Games Workshop are. But I think it bears repeating every single time it happens, because otherwise people will sort of just begin to think this is normal. And in fact, people do think that this is normal, and it really frustrates me. It really does. Let's see. Oh, he's a demon prince now, says Tulkash. Okay, yeah, okay, he's a demon prince. That's kind of sad, honestly, because I kind of like his vibe. He's like human. Superhuman vibe, I guess. Let's see. T-Hit says, Corax goes demon mode and beats Lorgar repeatedly. Rip. So what do we think, guys? this kind of stream business? Is this the sort of thing, or would you prefer just more like I feel like I can't keep doing Q&As, you know? Like I can't just keep answering questions because I'm pretty sure the questions will eventually get to the stage where I've answered everything. So I figured this week I would do something a little bit different. One thing I'd love to do, actually, I think that would be kind of interesting. You know, you guys tell me if this is something you'd be interested in. But I think I'd like to watch some like hobby content and stuff and give you my thoughts on it live. I think I'd like to do that. I think that could be kind of interesting because I've watched a few videos recently where I have a lot of thoughts on it. I'm like, I kind of wouldn't mind like talking about this live. I don't think it suits a video. But I think like maybe if I live streamed it, that could be kind of interesting. I recently got a survey from Games Workshop that is very bespoke. I know that not everybody's getting this survey. I haven't heard like of many other people who have gotten it. I think I know one other person. I recently got this survey and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this as a video. I'm gonna record myself while I answer the survey. And I thought it was gonna be like this quick little survey. But it wasn't. It was so long. It took me like 2 hours to complete this survey. And I was like, oh my god, I should have just live streamed this because I had so many thoughts. It was like the most interesting thing I've ever seen Games Workshop do. Like seriously. The questions they were asking in that survey were fascinating. And it showed an astuteness. They were actually on the ball. So I think they've outsourced it to a competent marketing company. I think this survey was done by like a competent marketing company that are aware of what's going on in the community and have asked really pertinent questions. So I think I'm going to, I kind of regret not doing the survey because I think it would have really suited being done on a live stream because I had so much thoughts. But now I've just got like 4 hours of raw video footage that's going to have to be edited down into like an actual video. So that'll be coming soon. It's really, I find it really interesting. Anyway, I hope other people do as well. Kenton with the $2 donation. Thanks so much. Thank you. Watch alongs would be dope as hell. Go for it. Yeah, I think it could be really fun. Because I don't really get like an excuse to watch as much these days. And I think when there's something like maybe even if there's something a little bit spicy out there, I think that might be kind of fun to like watch and talk about. Milk says surveys can be amazing. Yeah, they could. Jefferson says, Eloy, they trolled you with homework. They totally did. They got me. I was like, okay, well, I'll record myself doing this little survey. I mean, I'm like 40 questions in, 2 hours into the survey, being like, whoa, why are they asking me this for? But I thought it was really interesting because they mentioned stuff like the change to content creation. They mentioned stuff like the content creators. So it was very on the ball. I was super surprised by it. Games Workshop are usually very inoculated, very insulated from the stuff that's going on in the community. And you can always tell that, right? They don't do a very good job of interacting these days. So I thought it was very interesting. Definitely. So, you guys look out for it. Look out for the video. It should be out at some stage maybe next week or the week after because there's a lot going on. I have a lot on at the minute. Let's see here. Alpha Omega says, I really like the streams. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you do. I really enjoy them too, actually. I think it's really fun. Because the videos are good, but they're sort of like me saying something. It's really nice to like actually get to chat with you guys and like hang out and stuff. I think that's super neat. Inquisitor Vex says, I'm off now. Take care, everyone. Goodbye, Inquisitor. Quebec says, this is the last elections in France, so I'm going to see if they close the capitalist or fascist capitalist. Goodbye, and thank you for your content analysis. Thanks, Quebec. Good luck. Craig Select says, I got that as well. I didn't know not everyone got it. As far as I'm aware, it's super rare. And I know one person who got the survey, and the first question is, where do you live? And they ticked where they live, and the survey closed on them and said, thanks for answering the survey. Goodbye. So I was really worried that was going to happen to me. Like, I was going to answer wrong. Because I put in Northern Ireland, and I was really hoping that, like, it wouldn't close on me, because otherwise it would be a really lame video. It's just me opening the survey and answering wrong for where I live. So I think it was super hyper targeted. I think it was definitely targeted to people who are interested in who are already interested in Warhammer 40k. I think it was like really aimed at people who are already big fans of Warhammer 40k, which, I don't know. But it was interesting though. So I think that they're trying to get a grip on what the community actually thinks, which is kind of interesting. It's actually really novel for Games Workshop. So GM3 says, in before rampant takedowns. I think it should be fair use. So long as it's transformative content, which I think a reaction sort of video would be, right? I think it would be. Besides, I can always just demonetize the streams, right? So that I'm not profiting off it at all. Not that I profit much, to be honest, from the advertising revenue, from the streams. Mr. C says, hi, you live stream regularly now? Yeah, I'm trying to do this weekly. I'm trying to do like a stream weekly. Think of something interesting to do with chat, because it's been a lot of fun. I'm really enjoying it. The Trader Guardsman says, lore. Are you saying live stream lore? I don't know if I could honestly live stream lore. I think that would be really tough. Plus, when I'm doing lore, I think I like to present it a little bit differently from other people. There's a lot of lore channels out there who do the epic voice and the sort of passing over pictures from the setting. I prefer just doing more casual, sort of like, here's what I think is cool about the setting kind of thing. I have more fun doing that, and it's a little bit different from everybody else. So I guess I could do that on a live stream, but like, it's tough, man. You gotta like, I like to try and tell a story with the lore. I don't like to just say, here is Necromunda, this is what happens in Necromunda, because other people are doing that. I like to be like, well, what's interesting about Necromunda? Here's like a story that can be told in Necromunda, you know? Like Gravitaz says, it's a fun hangout. Thank you. Yeah, I have a lot of fun too. Dave the Reef says, you have the gift of the gab, so keep up the live stream. Thank you. The gift of the gab. I love that little saying. Jefferson says, I like the chance to chat to people I enjoy watching on YouTube, so I'm digging this. Yeah, thank you. It's really cool. I'm really enjoying hanging out with chat and stuff. No Coral says, I'd love to see Necromunda fan lore. Seems rare. Yeah, I mean, I think that the thing about Necromunda is, I think everybody kind of comes up with lore for their gangs, right? Like, do many people play just, I'm a Cawdor gang and that's it? Like, is that a thing? Because I know that for myself, I mean, I created an Escher gang, but I didn't really think of them as Escher. I thought of them as the Neon Banshees. That was my gang. They were like my girl gang who owned like this small bit of territory in the Underhive. So it's kind of like Necromunda is kind of funky that way. But then I suppose that's kind of, I'm playing sort of in the tradition of like the 2000s. I feel like the traditions have kind of changed a little bit these days. I think people are encouraged to play official characters or official sort of chapters and stuff, you know? Let's see here. DMGM says, 3D printed a couple of squads of Maccabean Janissaries. Very nice. Symbiote Mullet says, Spire Hunters for life. Oh, God. I love the Spire Hunters. I think that Spire Hunters are one of those things that people haven't really heard much about, so maybe I should do a video on those. Spire Hunters are, like, crazy. They're, like, mad. Like, the idea of them is so good. They're just like the Predator, but they're just preying on the underclass of society. I think it's incredible. It's like Batman taken to its logical conclusion. I think it's incredible. I really like the Spire Hunters. I don't know how you would get them to work in the current iteration of Necromunda though, like from a gameplay perspective. I think they'd be really problematic for balance. But as like a faction idea, I think they're great. I think there's probably a way to do them. I think they maybe need more activations or a way to activate out of order or to like interrupt activations or something. I think they need like some bespoke mechanics to help them out. Funnily enough, I think they're one of the few factions that would suit having a lot of special rules. Definitely. Trader Guardsman says, it's been fun teaching you lore and listening to your thoughts. Thank you, Trader Guardsman. I've been having a lot of fun too. I thought it would be interesting to do like a video where I learn about the Primarchs because I really don't know much about them. And it's kind of funny because I've been in this hobby for so long and people have talked about the Primarchs around me, but I've never really absorbed it. I just kind of like, it all kind of washes off me. So I wanted to like really engage with it this time and really try. Wargamer Medina says there's this one Lady Bounty Hunter in Necromunda, but her model was a contest exclusive, so she's rare. There's a few female models that aren't just Escher gangers. There's a few of them, as far as I remember.
Jefferson says, I think GW's learned from their strength is their setting and are trying to put focus on the canon gangs more than user creation. Yeah, they really have. And, you know, that's not what I want from Necromunda. What I want from Necromunda is my ability to create a gang and, like, go to war over, like, petty, stupid stuff. Like, you guys were calling us names, you know, at the quad. Or you guys killed our mascot. You like killed our like pet animal, and now we're gonna get revenge on you, you know? Or you're dealing cams on our corners, and we're gonna like come at you for that. That's like my favorite stuff. I don't like all this sort of like house intrigue stuff, where it's like, oh, it's this big massive scope and scale. No, I just wanna fight over some bricks. You know, I just wanna fight over some like nonsense. Just like Necromunda should be like super low tier, and I'm sort of thinking about Ash Wastes, and I don't know why my gang would be in the Ash Wastes. Like, it's really for Games Workshop to like explain to me why would we be fighting in this context? Because I think like a cooler version of that would have been like the edge of the Underhive, like where it meets the outside. Maybe there's some sort of toll situation, you know, you're trying to capture like the exit and entrance so that you can control the trade into that part of the town. I think that would have been kind of cool. But I feel like Ash Waste itself, there's just a lot about Ash Waste that I've been kind of disappointed in. I think the sculpts and like the models have looked really cool. I don't think that the gameplay really is going to be for me. Dolphin says, this is the big part of the fun for me with Necromunda, making my OC do not steal as your gang. Exactly. OC do not steal. Like, come on. And I always did this. I did this with every single one of my armies. I've never played an army that is like, I am the standard army from this place. Like, I've never played an army like that. I always play my own custom army. Like, that to me is the joy of the setting. Like, that's engaging with the setting, in my opinion. Let's see. Jason says, Madonna. Oh, yeah, that... Madonna might be the model you're thinking of, Lena. Lena says, girl, you're working overtime on these videos. Please don't burn out. I was close, but I got an editor, so that's helping. That's helping entirely. Plus, I've got like a lore video coming soon as well, and those are always really fun to make because they always involve lots of costume changes. Oh, yeah. Okay, let's see. Symbiote Mullah says, hey, your shotgun left a dent in our wall. Exactly, you know, where you're trying to like shoot at one gang and you accidentally hit another ganger, and now you've started this massive three-way gang war. I love that stuff. Just that nonsense, you know. It's why I really want to play Mad Dogs with guns, because that's a 1930s sort of late 1920s kind of like Chicago gangsters game. And from everything that I've heard and from what I've read, the actual battle rules don't seem that great. Like, they seem a bit awkward. You have to use like playing cards, and that's how you determine initiative, and it feels like there's lots of math involved. That doesn't sound that great. But the campaign system sounds incredible. So you've got all these different areas on the map, and you're in a gang war, and you have like, you know, say maybe you've got like a stash house where you're keeping loads of your cash and your drugs, and then, or your booze, I suppose, at the time because of Prohibition. And then your opponent attacks that place. You don't get to defend it with your entire gang because they're not there. You get to defend it with the people you've allocated to defend that area. So you might have like 4 guys on that defending that stash house. Then suddenly the Malones have shown up, and they're trying to gun you down. Well, you can get to a telephone and call the rest of your gang to come in and help you defend. It sounds incredible. Or there's like missions where if you can catch the enemy gang boss like coming out of a theater, who's, you know, after watching like the movies or something, and you can do a drive-by. You can try and drive by in a car and shoot at him to kill him. Like, you can play all of this out, and it sounds like loads of fun. And here's the thing as well, there's a heat meter. So this is a gang war, and the more killings, the more violence that occurs, and there's civilians on the map as well. So if you end up killing like civilians and stuff, then the press start running stories about this crazy gang war, which forces the police to have to get involved. So suddenly there's like this AI faction of the police that escalates. And as the heat gets more, like the feds start getting involved and start looking into all your business. It sounds so good. I really can't wait to play it. It sounds absolutely incredible. Let's see here. Luke McDonaldson says, Block Wars. Yeah! Hunker says, Warriors, come out and play. Yeah, boy, Shamoy says, custom armies are so cool for me with AOS. I love the Beastmen, Nurgle, Orcs, and Skaven, but can't just commit to one. Might not be able to play official, but custom games are cool for this. Exactly, 100%. I love it. Like, I have like a sort of a bit of a Skaven army, and I think I base them on Mulder. Right, like Mulder. Yeah, I think I based them on Mulder, but they're like their own army, and then my Beastmen are just like they're led by a guy called Bloody Tom, and they're just this roving band of Beastmen. Like, that's their thing. They don't really have like anything else going on. That's kind of like their vibe, and they have been manipulated by a Slaneshi worshipping lord to go against the elves. He has convinced them because there is a magical artifact that the elves hold. That's my, like, AOS Beastman sort of vibe. Codaster Hanker says, being the heretic here, but I think your style of storytelling would work well for Kings of War lore videos. So funny enough, I actually purchased the 3rd edition Kings of War book, and I saw that that book is big with lore. So as an outsider, so I don't really know the lore, and as an outsider, I get the vibe that Kings of War is fairly generic. Now, I think that I might be a little bit unfair because I haven't engaged with the lore at all. And I'll be honest, some of the factions are really cool. Like, I like the Abyssal Dwarves, for example. I think they look really cool. But I just get the vibe that it's kind of generic. Which is sort of a bit of a pity because I've heard that the game is very good. But I don't know, I might be wrong. I haven't read the book yet, and I plan on reading the book. I plan on reading through the Kings of War book, and I'll get more of an idea of what's going on there. I tell you, I recently the TT Combat guys, they recently sent me out the Carnival. The most recent Carnival have come out with an expansion book recently that has so Carnival is set in Venice. There's been a rent in the sky, and it has changed everything. Supernatural stuff has come down, and everyone's gone mad and stuff, and you're basically playing as different gangs in Carnival. I've mentioned them before on stream. So there's like the doctors, or there's like the patricians, or there's like these Cthulhu monster guys who live in the water, and TT Combat do they create the models, and they create the rules and stuff. And they recently sent me out the most recent expansion. The really interesting thing about Carnival is that it is very heavily built on the idea that the setting progresses. So the first book is like 1791 to 1794. Or 1793. And then this expansion covers 1793 through to 1795. So you've got like the actual main storybook, or the main campaign book, covers like 4 years, and then you've got another expansion book that covers like a year. And one of the things that I find really interesting about Carnival is that every single gang have their own little campaign in the book, a series of scenarios that are built explicitly for them. So they all have like a campaign. I think that's kind of cool. Working Merlina says, yeah, so that Bonnie model is super rare. I don't know if I've ever seen that one. Kings of War is good, says DM James, but Oathmark is better. Well, Oathmark, to be honest, I don't think Oathmark even has like a background, right? Like, it doesn't have like a setting. The thing I love about Oathmark is the fact that it has the kingdom builder. It's very much built on that idea of OC do not steal, because you build a kingdom, and depending on what you build in your kingdom means what you can build in your army, what you can take into battle. So if you have like a stables, then you can bring cavalry, or if you have, and it depends on what race you are too, you can play like humans, you can play elves, you can play orcs and goblins, you can play dwarves. And so humans can bring like militia units if they have like a human town. If you build a wizard's tower, you can bring a wizard into battle. If you build like a graveyard, you can build skeletons and stuff. I think that's really cool. I really love that like meta element to a game. Codaster Hanker says it's still miniature agnostic. It just took them a while to build up the lore. Jefferson J. Thacker says Oathmark has got big balance problems. Sorry, I think there's an issue. From what I understand, there seems to be issues with the catapults. That's kind of the vibe I get. It looks like the artillery has some big issues. But I was speaking with Cement Saul. He does some good reviews on his channel, and he was saying to basically give them a try before banning them. I was thinking about just banning them outright, the catapults from Oathmark, before I even played. Scythen Nilo with the donation. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Scythen. Says, Discourse, thanks for the nice content. Did you play Beastmen in Age of Fantasy? Any hints what to prioritize in printing and how to build up the army? So I haven't played them yet in Age of Fantasy. I keep meaning to play them, but I haven't just had an opportunity yet to play Beasts of Chaos, unfortunately. So I don't have any idea on what to prioritize. I can tell you what I think looked the coolest, though. And honestly, I gotta say, from a Beastman perspective, I think the Ungor equivalent, the more hyena-looking guys, I think look really awesome. Especially because the Ungors look really... The Games Workshop sculpts for Ungors looks really poor. So I really love the sort of hyena aesthetic that the Age of Fantasy Beastmen have, that they've brought to the table. I think they look really cool. So I would totally prioritize printing out some of those guys. So sorry I couldn't be more help than that. Although I think you can't really go far wrong, honestly, for most of them. It's kind of the beauty of the 3D printer thing, right? Like, you can just kind of dip and dab as much as you want. You can just print out all you desire. There's less of a commitment to what you pick up. And I adore that. I think that's awesome. I think that's so cool. My relationship with miniatures really changed the moment that I got a 3D printer. And it's kind of crazy. So before I had a 3D printer, I was always worried about paint the models. I was worried about, making sure I didn't screw up a model. The moment that I started 3D printing them, though, I was like, oh yeah, these things are really cheap. That's right. These things I can just do whatever I want with them, and I can be free of that fear. And that's what I loved about the 3D printing. It created this raising of the consciousness almost. The thing, Last Melon says with the $5 donation, thank you so much, Last Melon. He says, the thing I like about Games Workshop is they have a make this your own feel. It's not really pushed recently, so I think the community has to keep that push up. I totally agree, Last Melon. I totally agree. Thank you so much for the donation. I feel like this is something, I think that they kind of want to get rid of it, which is really sad, because I do think that they used to do a really good job of this. Like, we were talking earlier on about the 2 Primarchs being completely empty. Just the 2 Primarchs just being not known at all, so you could create your own chapters. And I thought that was really cool, but we don't really see that much anymore. I think if Games Workshop were to introduce the Primarchs today, they would actually probably fill in the gaps a little bit, because I think they like the idea of creating books, bespoke books for certain mechanics and stuff. I think they like doing like the Thousand Suns and the Death Guards and stuff, and they like to actually enforce a lot of the lore in terms of the mechanics, and that's kind of cool. Like, I think that thematic armies is awesome, but I think there's a balance, and I think they have definitely gone too far in the direction of trying to come up with rules and explain everything. I think it's much preferable to create a setting where you can basically make whatever you want, and that was always the joy of the 40k setting to me. I mean, it's all, and I guess it speaks to the posability of the models and stuff as well, right? Right, because it's all about the posability. I don't like the monopose stuff. I like being able to customize my model and assembly, and so we've missed out on a lot of this in all these different directions, not only just in the lore, but in terms of the models themselves. I mean, the real horror will be the day, if it ever happens, that a model comes pre-painted. That would be pretty spooky. DM James with the $10 donation. Thank you so much. And the cute little, look at this guy. That is so cute. What is that's like a silver sticker or something? That's so cute. He's got the little heart fans. I love that so much. Thank you so much, DM James. That's lovely. Jefferson J. Factor says, those beast folk look so good. I want to print that big old doggo titan so bad. Oh, yeah, the big titan. Mike Hendon says, Noel Ungors are good boys who deserve belly rubs. Yes, Knowles gets so overlooked, dude. Like, Knowles gets so overlooked. I remember playing a Warcraft 3 mod that, like, introduced a 5th faction that was just, like, the creep faction. So there's all these different monsters and beasts that look badass. A negative atheist says, Discourse, you are wonderful for this hobby, and thank you for bringing a bright spot in the grim dark future. Also, the lion is the best. Well, thank you so much, negative atheist. That's really nice of you to say. Wargamania says, I've invested a lot in donating to one-page rules, but I don't own a printer, so I have a library of minis I can't print. Yeah, that's really tough. So I'm thinking about doing a video soon on whether or not being a patron of one-page rules is worth it. And spoiler, I think it is, but obviously if you don't have a 3D printer, it's going to be, I think that the value of it really goes down. Now, the plus side is you get to hold a library of miniatures. So depending on your context, your circumstances, like, what if if you're like, if you plan on getting a 3D printer in the near future, I think it's probably totally worth it to begin acquiring some of these models, right? But if you don't know when you're going to own one, then yeah, definitely. I love the fact that you get to own them. I think that's super important, that you get to own them, even if you stop subscribing to the Patreon. But you have to be careful that you don't end up... I think that some people go a little bit buck wild sometimes, and they subscribe to loads of them, because there is a little small element of FOMO in the Patrons, right? I think there is a little small element of that. But, I mean, I think that in terms of the Patreon, I think it's probably one of the most consumer-friendly business models. So yeah, I hope that you're able to get like a 3D printer. They're just not quite there where they're super accessible, but they're getting there. They're getting there. Mike Hendon with the $5 donation. Don't give them ideas. I remember when Confrontation was pre-painted. Oh no. Thank you so much for the donation, Mike. Thank you. That's really kind of you. God, I mean, can you imagine the horror world where they just start selling Space Marines with the Ultramarines paint job just like done? They're like, that's the vibe now. Oh no. Oh no. It's this hobby, miniature wargaming, it's all about creativity, and I think that's why it's always been the smallest of a lot of them, because even if you're doing like role-playing games, like you only have to come up with your own character, or if you're the DM, you have to come up with loads of stuff, but DMs are a rarity compared to players. In a war game, you have to come up with so much, and there's a lot of material stuff you gotta do. You gotta think of what army you want to play. Okay, you gotta create an idea, backstory to your army. You've got to come up with if you're playing part of a narrative campaign, you gotta come up with a reason why your army's there. You gotta come up with a context for the fights. You've got to put together your army. You gotta assemble them. You gotta build your army. You choose which ones to buy, and then you build them up, and you pose them in certain ways so that you're telling a little bit of a story. And then you paint them in a certain way as well. Maybe you add on, a little bit of flocking detail to the base. You add on some rocks or something, because now they're on a rock planet. Or you add like a little bit of blood splatter, or like some grime somewhere. And there's just so many opportunities to be creative in this hobby. And I absolutely love that about it. I really do love that. From what you decide to wield in your army, from how you actually make them look, to where they fight and who you're fighting against. There's just so many opportunities. And not everybody can do that, Like, I feel like not everybody is interested in giving so much to a hobby. Like, I think that miniature wargaming is one of the true, like, it could be a lifestyle hobby. It really can. And I guess that's why Games Workshop feel fine with charging so much. But they shouldn't, because I think way more people would be into this if it was cheaper. Jefferson J. Thacker with a $5 donation. Thank you so much. Not every gamer needs a 3D printer, but every game group should look into getting one together as a group. That is a great point. That is an excellent point. That is an absolutely excellent point. And that's the thing, Lena. Like as Jefferson says, if you can get access to a 3D printer somehow, then suddenly you can get those all printed off, because resin itself is really cheap. I buy the water washable resin because it's just so convenient. And like, it's super useful. It's just so handy. So try and see if you know anyone who can get those printed off for you. Because you can kind of acquire like a little bit of a pile of shame. But like, I think you're totally right, Jefferson. I think that this is something that maybe, I don't know you guys. So at my local club, they don't have a 3D printer, but I really feel like this is something that gaming clubs could really utilize. Printing off models and stuff for people. I know that I feel like more 3D printing not 3D printing companies, but like I think that more patronage and STL file sellers or sculptors should be selling commercial licenses to print. I feel like they should be selling more commercial licenses to print to companies. Okay, Connor says, I think at this point I'm more of a hobbyer than a wargamer. All my LGSs have a no mask, no vaccine passport environment. I'm not handing myself the Papa Nurgle just to play a game. A negative Athey says, hey, $10 minus $20 for 20 plus posable models is a no-brainer. I almost spent my money on GW instead of a printer. I just want to paint and play. Yeah. I get you. Prufa says, kind of feel bad. I like Ultramarines the best. Well, I mean, like, look, it's one of those things where it's kind of like, I mean, you shouldn't feel bad for enjoying what is relatively popular, I don't think that that's the case. I mean, they're relatively popular for a reason. Well, they've always been pushed by Games Workshop, but I mean, they're fine, you know. I quite like the Roman aesthetic. I wish it was indulged in more. I wish they had more of a Roman aesthetic vibe. So I get you, you know. Let's see here. Aaron, but yeah, like don't feel bad about it. Like I wouldn't. Don't worry about that sort of stuff. You know, you like what you like. Symbiote Mullet says, what do you think of mini sites like Hero Forge? Firstly, thank you so much for the donation, Symbiote. That's really nice of you. So what do I think of mini sites like Hero Forge? I think they're super interesting. It's kind of interesting because Hero Forge have been around for a while, and they used to just print it off at their like manufacture. They used to manufacture them and then ship out. So for those who don't know, Hero Forge is a miniature website where basically you can customize a miniature. Now, it's sold more for, say, like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff, where you basically create like a player character, and you know, you pay them money, you customize the face, what weapon it's wielding and stuff, and then they ship it out to you. But now, these days, they started selling STLs. And I think that's awesome. I think it hits the D&D market really, really perfectly. I think that every D&D group that I've been a part of, I think at least one person has like gotten a model printed if they're playing on maps. If they're playing on a map, which I think is the best way to play D&D. I think if you're going to play D&D, you should be playing on a battle map, because D&D is best as a war game. I think if you're going to play D&D, you have to take advantage of the war game heritage. And I think every single game that I've played in where we've been playing on maps, someone has bought one of those models, and I think it's really cool. I think it makes for an awesome gift as well. So I really like them. I think that they're sort of like, they feel almost a little bit antiquated these days. It was really novel when they first came out, but now it feels like the technology has moved on. Like, they sell STL files now, but it feels like the technology has moved to the stage where I expect almost more customizability. Now, I haven't been on the website like Hero Forge in a while, so I don't know whether or not they've really increased the customizability. I have to imagine that they have. I think in concept, though, it's really cool. And I sort of still can't really believe that we're in this world where you can just get models and print them at home. It's still so crazy to me. It's so awesome. It's like you're taking the power of the miniatures. You're taking the power of the miniatures, and you're taking them from these companies, and we're taking it back in a lot of ways. And I think that's just badass. I think it is. Dolphy says, I would love to get into sculpting. I draw and I use my own minis from scraps all the time. Yeah, I would love to be able to sculpt, although I've never tried, and I suspect I'd be really bad at it, because I'm really bad at like this sort of like creative stuff like that. Wargamer Lena says, have you ever experienced sexism in the hobby? I've been alienated from my local club as one member was very inappropriate with me, but the club leader wouldn't do anything. That's true of it. I think, honestly, first of all, I'm sorry to hear that you've experienced that. But I mean, I think I've been lucky. I've never really experienced any sexism, at least not overtly, in the hobby. It's always been fine for me. I think I don't know, I've just gotten away with it. Mike Hendon says, I made an adorable female Skaven and printed her in color via Hero Forge. Awesome. Oh, wait, so you can make Skaven there these days. See, I haven't been on there for a while. So they've presumably really, really made it very customizable, right? Let's see here. Matt Lewis says, having recently seized the means of production, I want to print minis for everyone I know on the off chance I can snipe people to play with. That's it, dude. I remember, like, I don't know about you guys, but I have bought armies so that I can give them to somebody. Like, not give them, but like so that other people have something to play with. Like, I've bought armies for games, and I'm like, well, you can play as these guys. I don't know about you guys. So, like, 3D printing a model out, definitely. I mean, I did that thinking about it, I did that for the Battle Sisters. I created the Battle Sisters just because my opponent wouldn't have an army to play with. I'm like, oh, whoops. Aaron Adorable says, yes, I would download a car. Me too, dude. Me too. Scott Wood says, $300 a month on STL patrons. At the minute, it's an addiction, but love it. But at least you get a bunch of stuff, right? Although, like, yeah, it can definitely accumulate. Like, I realized that I could definitely accumulate digital files the way that you accumulate like physical piles of shame, you know? Charles says, Games Workshop has already started getting ready to introduce one of the missing Primarchs. No way. Oh, have they? Oh, God. I hope not. I like them being missing. They're better that way. Guy Beckett says, the satisfaction of sculpting once you created, I always just wanted to share my creation for free. Well, I think that's really admirable, Guy. I do think that's really admirable. I suppose it depends what you want from it, right? Like, I believe in paying sculptors, and I believe in paying artists a lot, you know, for what they do. I had someone skim through a lot of like wiki pages for Warhammer Fantasy in anticipation of my every Warhammer Fantasy faction explained, and I paid them money for that. I don't think that I should. I don't think I have the right to sort of just expect people to do stuff, you know? It kind of frustrates me that Games Workshop don't credit their artists. I'm not 100% sure how much I buy the argument that it's because of fears of harassment. I don't know about that. I think Matt Ward was this very specific situation. But yeah, I mean, if you're just doing it as a hobby, and if you're just doing it to be creative, then all power to you. 100%. Like, if you're just doing something to be creative, which is kind of how I started this channel. I was just doing it because I kind of wanted to. I think that's fine. But, I mean, it's one of those things. Like, if you can sculpt and you're really good and you can make a living doing it, like, I wouldn't ever say to be, never be concerned about asking for payment or selling your sculpts, you know? Because I think if you want to be into sculpting, I think now is the time to do that. I think there's a huge boom right now of sculptors. The 3D printing market is just it's getting big, and it's going to get bigger, I think. There's so many spaces open. There's so many people making new games, miniature agnostic. It's a golden age, guys. It's a golden age right now. I love it. I love it. Lloyd Joe says we must uppercut capitalism. Evolution of Gaming says, the main rule of 40k has been both players need to have fun. I hate chaos, but I wouldn't want someone to not play them if they enjoy all those spikes. 100%. 100%. I totally agree. It's all about having fun. It's all about having fun. And I used to play 40k competitively. And not so much in tournaments, but like every game I played, I would play it explicitly to win, and that was all that mattered. I would try to optimize my builds and my armies and stuff. And I realized I wasn't having fun doing that. I just expected to have fun. And I like watching other people play competitively, but I don't think that I enjoy playing it competitively because I kept getting frustrated at the game for sort of not doing what I expected it to. So basically, I stopped doing that. I just started playing a lot more casually. Even when I'm playing against someone else who's playing really competitively, I play a lot less. I mean, I play to win, but like, I don't try hard at, you know? And I started finding myself enjoying it a lot more. I think So I think it's all about playing the game to have fun. The thing is, I do feel like most people like to win. I feel like most people have fun when winning. I don't think that anyone really truly enjoys losing that much, even if they're kind of having fun while playing the game. I think that like losing can be a bit of a bummer sometimes. Last Melon says, never be afraid to get paid for your work. 100%. Jefferson says, yes, please get into sculpting so I can have more minis to buy. Oh, there's so many great minis now. I love it. I really love it. Evolution of Gaming says, Flames of War, I got pretty much a whole army for less than a combat patrol. Flames of War is really, really effective. I know that John from On Tabletop, he absolutely loves Flames of War. At least the starter set, he says it's tons of value. Tons of value there. Hunkler says, the dreaded math hammer. Yeah. And it just learned that lesson this weekend. Yeah, it's tough. And I can't even imagine playing Warhammer competitively in 9th edition right now. There is so much going on. There's so much going on. Negative Atheist says, I love losing as long as I'm playing. See, I like winning, but I like playing the baddie all the time. I like playing like the baddies, and so I can never really feel too bad about losing. I'm always playing the bad guys. Let's see. Mike Hendon says, playing for fun as opposed to winning at all costs is why my tie have been in storage since 7th. Yeah. I mean, I suppose if you wanted to win at all costs, Mike, like now is the time to crack them out. Phoenix Review says, playing for fun is the best. I've fought competitive players before and they get angry for losing to, quote, a non-meta army. Like it's tiny plastic men and dice. Why get mad? Yeah, I've played with people like that, and it really sucks the fun out of the game. Like I have played against people like that And I've made suboptimal moves because I just can't be bothered dealing with them. Like, I just don't want to beat them because I know it's just going to be a whole thing. And I can't handle that. I'm like, you know what, just screw this guy. I'm just going to, like, I don't want to play anymore. The person I used to play against all the time was very a bad loser indeed. And so I would just throw games all the time because I wasn't having fun when I won. Not at all. I try not to play with people like that anymore. And I suppose the thing about competitive play is that you will run into people like that because you're sort of playing against other competitive players. And if you're ever playing like in a tournament, you're going to come up against people who are strangers to you. You're going to play with total strangers. So you're going to run into that sometimes. But, you know, if you're playing competitively, it's kind of one of those things that suck it up, sunshine, you know. You're playing competitive, you boy. That's it. You just gotta get over it. Tia says, Hero Forge was a go-to for my D&D group. Now I have 5 characters from them. Now I get someone to print them. So you're just buying, I'm presuming then, you're buying like the STL files now then, rather than getting them to be printed by Hero Forge. Jefferson J. Thacker says, I'm playing one-page rules in Kings of War because they're balanced and fun. They have to be better games because they have to. Yeah, exactly. They have to be better games. Otherwise, no one will play them, and they will crash and burn. Games Workshop can kind of get away from just existing, which is why I think they struggle a lot. And it's why they don't really innovate that much either, because they're really afraid of like losing their current player base. It's kind of funny. Like Games Workshop really are the company that are all about trying to just maintain the sort of. It's like water slipping out between their fingers, and they're just trying to hold in as much as possible. And yeah, it doesn't work. Like, you're always going to bleed players. You got to keep letting people in. You can't keep raising the prices. It doesn't work that way. The hobby will die. Angry Hobbit says, have you seen the game Rivenstone? It's coming soon. It looks really good. I have seen the game Rivenstone. It's very colorful. Looks very saturated. It kind of reminds me of like a MOBA almost. But it looks interesting. So I'm keeping my eyes on it. Antenna Changeling says, something that's nice about the one-page rules games, you can see the math behind points cost, unlike with Games Workshop where it is. We need to sell those half the points cost. Big problem with the custodies right now. Yeah, that's a huge problem. Like, there was actually something mentioned in the survey that, so I took a survey recently for Games Workshop, and they mentioned this. It was the first time I ever had seen them be explicit with the fact that they mess around with the armies that they mess around with the balance of the armies for profit, that they do so for money. Like, they don't admit to doing it, but they kind of ask, is this a perception that you have, and whether or not it's bad? And, yeah, so, watch out for the video on the survey. I have a lot of thoughts on that. Symbiote Mullah says, which is worse, a sore loser or a bad winner? I think they're both pretty bad. I don't know if I have like a preference. I don't know if I have like, if I would prefer one or the other. I think I would just like prefer neither. Please, just like a good game. I guess I prefer a bad loser because it means that I won the game. So I guess I'd prefer that. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna pop on now. It's getting pretty late, actually. I didn't expect to be on this long. So it's been like a real joy. I've had like a lot of fun. Thanks a lot for joining me, guys. And I'm going to be up again next week. It'll be same again time, maybe a little bit later if that works for people better. So I'll catch you next time, guys. Angry Hobbit says, by the way, I love watching your content. You say all the things that run through my head on a constant basis. Thank you for giving it a voice. Thank you very much, Angry Hobbit. I'm really glad to hear that. I get a lot of pushback on the content, and so it gets kind of rough at times. Like, not gonna lie. But thanks so much. Like, you know, the support means a lot to me. So thank you. Bye bye, everybody. I'll see you. Bye bye.